Chapter 1307. Woo-woo. 30,000 soldiers shouted in unison. Suddenly, the entire royal city, both inside and outside, was awed by this shout. In the imperial palace, Hongji, who was sleeping soundly, was awakened by the shouts of 30,000 soldiers. Lying on the bed, he frowned and turned his head with a cold expression. He shouted, "Men, Jia!" The door was pushed open and a servant walked in. He walked slowly to Hong Ji's bed and knelt on the ground, trembling. As Hong Ji's servant, he knew Hong Ji's temperament very well. He heard the shouts just now. Hong Ji's cold expression naturally meant that it was because of that shout. "Your Majesty, what's going on? Didn't the Emperor say that when the Emperor is sleeping, he shouldn't be disturbed?" The servant was even more frightened. He wanted to explain, but he didn't know where the shouts came from. "Speak," Hong Ji said coldly. He wanted an explanation. He wanted to kill the person in front of him to vent his anger. "Your Majesty, it's not good." Just as Hong Ji was waiting for the servant's answer, a hurried voice came from outside the door. Then, a chamberlain of imperial insignia rushed in. "HM?" Seeing the chamberlain of imperial insignia's anxious expression, Hong Ji frowned. He didn't understand what was going on today. Why was there always something going wrong? He was already very unhappy that he was woken up. He didn't expect the chamberlain of imperial insignia, who was usually very disciplined, to be like this. "Put on." The chamberlain of imperial insignia came in front of Hong Ji and kowtowed. "Your Majesty, there was a report just now. Fan Jun led 30,000 soldiers and broke through the gates of the capital. They are wantonly slaughtering in the city." "What?" Hong Ji sat up straight on the bed and stared at the chamberlain of imperial insignia in disbelief. He remembered Fan Jun. However, in his memory, wasn't Fan Jun imprisoned by Li Jiping? Furthermore, he heard that Fan Jun had disappeared. How could he be now? No. Where did the 30,000 soldiers come from? How could Fan Jun have broken through the gates? Also, wasn't the gate guarded by guards? Where were the guards? What was Li Jiping trying to do? Thinking of Li Jiping, Hong Ji's heart calmed down a lot. Thinking that Li Jiping would not return this time, he felt much better. However, the most urgent matter now was the 30,000 soldiers. With that thought in mind, he raised his head and looked at the chamberlains of imperial insignia. "Go, pass down the emperor's order. Order the chamberlains of imperial insignia and the city gate guards to gather all the troops in the city and capture Fan Jun. Anyone who kills Fan Jun will be rewarded with the title of Marquis of 10,000 households." The so-called way of the emperor was nothing more than this. Hong Ji did not feel that this reward was heavy at all. After all, the title of Marquis of 10,000 households was just a title. As for what the final reward would be, it was up to him to decide. The moment these words were spoken, the Jinwu Guard commander became excited. Marquis of 10,000 households was much more precious than a mere commander of the Jinwu Guard. Imagining himself as the Marquis of 10,000 households, some kind of twinkling star, his heart was burning. "Yes, Your Majesty." After saying that, the commander of the chamberlains of Jinwu turned around and left. Because of Hong Ji's order, the entire royal palace became lively. There were not many chamberlains of Jinwu, only around 5,000 in total. On the other hand, there were quite a number of guards at the city gate, around 15,000 in total. Of course, compared to 30,000, the chamberlains of Jinwu were still very confident. After all, who wouldn't want to be the master of the chamberlains of 10,000 households? Who wouldn't want to be respected by others? Of course, Fan Jun was completely unaware of this. At this moment, the first place Fan Jun went to was the Minister of War's residence. He thought back to how during the war, the Minister of War's greed had caused the entire army to starve for 7 days. During those 7 days, some of the soldiers had eaten tree bark, some had eaten their own horses, and some had even started eating human flesh. Fan Jun had always been brooding over this matter. In his heart, he hated the Minister of War to the bone. However, this Li Jiping was too cowardly, so he had yet to take revenge. Now, the Minister of War was the first person he wanted to kill. In the eastern part of the city, Fan Jun led the soldiers directly to the Minister of War's residence. 30,000 soldiers had completely sealed off the Minister of War's residence. Not even a fly could fly in. It could be said that the residence was impregnable. Jia. The door opened, and the Minister of War, Lu Wei, walked out. He glanced at the soldiers in front of him, and a trace of fear flashed across his eyes. However, when he remembered that he was in the imperial capital, that fear disappeared. He straightened his back and looked coldly at Fan Jun. He said coldly, "Fan Jun, since Li Zhiping didn't imprison you, it seems like he's going to rebel." Huh. Fan Jun didn't take Lu Wei's words to heart. As for Li Zhiping's rebellion, he wouldn't admit it. After all, only by succeeding would he be able to do whatever he wanted. Now wasn't the time. He raised his head and looked at Lu Wei. The coldness in his eyes was like a cold knife, mercilessly moving around Lu Wei's body. Lu Wei, do you still remember what happened at the border? Among the 30,000 soldiers, a portion of them had survived that battle. Therefore, when they saw the Minister of War, they had the urge to rush up and eat him alive. Unfortunately, Fan Jun didn't make a move. They could only endure it. After all, Fan Jun was the highest commander in the army. "You," Lu Wei said coldly. He might not remember other things, but he remembered what happened back then very clearly. At that time, he was possessed and almost made a huge mistake. Fortunately, Hong Zhiping held him back, allowing him to have his current achievements. You don't need to know other things. You only need to know that you. Fan Jun walked up to Lu Wei and lowered his head to Lu Wei's ear. He continued, "You chose the wrong side, so you naturally have to pay the price. Old and new debts will be settled together. The entire Lu clan will be destroyed today." Fan Jun waved his hand and said to the 30,000 soldiers, "Brothers who experienced that battle, the enemies are right in front of you. Kill them and avenge your brothers who died." Revenge, revenge. At this moment, Fan Jun could be said to have hundreds of people responding to his call. With a wave of his hand, the 3,000 soldiers shouted in unison. Without a doubt, they were the survivors of that battle. Kill. Behind the scenes, more than 3,000 soldiers charged towards the Minister of War's residence. As for the Assistant Minister of War, Lu Wei, I was grabbed by Fan Jun. My face was red as I looked at Fan Jun in disbelief. If he was fearless before, now his fear had reached its peak. He didn't expect Fan Jun to kill an important official of the imperial court in the capital. What kind of guts was this? What kind of courage was this? Chapter 1308. A great reshuffle was about to happen. The entire capital was in full swing because of Fan Jun's actions. It was very lively. On the other side, in the empty nether region, in the opposite direction of heavenly King Hong City, a man, a woman, and a demonic beast were strolling in a mountain range. Senior, not far ahead is the entrance to the underworld. There are two strange beasts guarding it. If you don't have a special token, I'm afraid you'll be devoured. Zhongli looked at Lin Rei and subconsciously told him what she knew. Lin Rei, who was walking forward, stopped and turned to look at Zhongli. A hint of interest flashed in his eyes. Obviously, he was interested in the strange beast that Zhongli mentioned. A tiger roar came out of the scarlet flame tiger's mouth. It stared at Zhongli with a hint of disdain. Strange beast, humph. The scarlet flame tiger obviously didn't care about the strange beast that Zhongli mentioned. In this world, how strong could a demonic beast be? Say, Senior, Zhongli's legs went soft, and she couldn't walk anymore. She had been with these two experts every day, and her life was very restrained. Although the food she ate was better than what she ate before, but the other party was too strong. The aura that they casually emitted was not something that a small cultivator like her could resist. On the side, Lin Rei felt the same as Zhongli. He waved his hand. This matter ends here. As for the strange beast, we'll talk about it later. As he spoke, his gaze fell on the scarlet flame tiger and said seriously, "Little tiger, although your strength can keep up, but remember, this world is very big and very mysterious. Don't just look at the surface. If there are no experts in this world, how can it not be eroded? Don't you feel that the spiritual energy here is very rich? Moreover, There's a faint Tao rhyme flowing in the space. The scarlet flame, tiger choked. This world is not as simple as you think. I believe that there are experts here. Moreover, you might not be a match for them. As he spoke, he looked at the sky. Linray was right. This world was not as simple as it looked. If they had known earlier, they would have come from the Saint world. Their auras were so powerful, yet they did not attract the Tendo of this world. There were usually two reasons for such a situation. First, Tendo was truly afraid of them. Secondly, it meant that the heavenly Tao did not care about their cultivation levels. Between these two outcomes, he was more inclined towards the latter. If Tendo's strength was weak, he might as well buy a piece of tofu and kill himself. Seeing Lin Ray's serious expression, the Scarlet Flame Tiger knew that it was wrong. It nodded repeatedly and promised, "Elder Brother Lei, I won't dare to do it again." As he spoke, he lowered his head and walked forward, leaving behind Lin Ray and Zhongli. In response, Lin Ray helplessly shook his head and waved at Zhongli to continue forward. Inside the Heavenly King of Hong, Fan Jun killed everyone in Lu Wei's residence. Suddenly, the smell of blood filled the streets. Lu Wei was slapped to death by Fan Jun. Just like that, the assistant minister of the Ministry of War of Hongtian Empire, Lu Wei, died without a shred of dignity. After the matter was settled, everyone gathered at the entrance. Originally, the 3,000 soldiers were unhappy with Fan Jun's actions. However, after what happened just now, they were completely convinced by him, because Fan Jun gave them a chance to take revenge. That was all. "Commander, who's next?" Perhaps because the beast in the soldier's heart had been completely unleashed, someone asked as soon as everyone gathered outside. When everyone heard this, all eyes were focused on Fan Jun. The corner of his mouth curled up, and a bloodthirsty look flashed across his face. Since Assistant Minister of War Lu Wei is dead, his father-in-law is next. Father-in-law. Everyone's head was filled with question marks. They were not in the royal capital, so they did not know who Lu Wei's father-in-law was. "Could it be?" asked one of the soldiers in shock. He had once heard that Lu Wei's father-in-law was the imperial uncle. That was a person who had once been a very famous person. However, it was a pity that he had once oppressed Li Jiping and Li Jiping's army. It seems like, looking at the shocked soldier, a strange look flashed across Fan Jun's eyes. He smiled and continued, "The current imperial uncle, Zhong Shanxiong." Boom! Zhong Shanxiong's name lingered in the ears of the 30,000 soldiers. It was like a demon's voice that could not be dispelled. Zhong Shanxiong was once an overlord. However, for some reason, he submitted to the previous emperor. Now, he could be considered as a major figure of two dynasties. The scariest thing about Zhong Shanxiong was that he could kill without blinking. There were rumors that Zhong Shanxiong could cut off the flow of a lake with a single slash. That's right. Fan Jun understood what they were thinking. However, if he wanted to come, it would be difficult. He felt that Zhong Shanxiong could be his second target. Over the years, those old fellows had been hostile to Li Jiping. Just based on that point, he could not indulge them. Without waiting for anyone to react, Fan Jun took the lead and walked off into the distance. "Commander, wait for us." Seeing Fan Jun leave, everyone's hearts turned cold. They hastily followed. At this moment, the Jinwu Guard had led the city guards. When he heard that the Ministry of War had been killed, he immediately changed directions. He had thought that he would be able to make it in time, but unfortunately, he was too late. "Let's go." Sensing that his blood was still warm, he immediately rushed in the direction of the sound, leading more than 10,000 soldiers. Not long after, the two sides finally met. He stood where he was, looking at Fan Jun in the distance. With a roar, he unsheathed his long blade and charged at Fan Jun, his face ferocious. When he turned around and saw the figure charging over, a cold smile appeared on his face. He said to the surrounding people, "This is a personal grudge. If anyone dares to help, kill them without mercy." As he spoke, he raised his hand and pointed it at the head of the Chamberlain of Chamberlain of Chamberlain of Chamberlain. Jingu. Suddenly, inexplicably, a white ray of light rushed out at an extremely fast speed. Die! Get lost! When the commander of the Golden Guards saw the white light, he raised his long saber and rushed towards it. Pong! After a muffled sound, a figure was sent flying. The scarlet light in the air was very eye-catching. Put on! The black figure landed on the ground. After the dust settled, the Jinwu guard was lying on the ground. His face was pale, and he coughed up blood. His body was trembling as he looked at Fan Jun. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't understand what kind of energy could make him so miserable that he couldn't even take a single blow. Chapter 1309. In an instant, the crowd was in an uproar. The chamberlains of Jin and the city gate guards who thought that they could suppress everything became uncertain. The scene just now was too dramatic, especially the strength that Fan Jun used just now. It was not ordinary at all. It seemed to have exceeded their imagination. At this moment, everyone no longer looked at Fan Jun with disdain and ridicule. Instead, they looked at him with respect and reverence. In all worlds, the principle of the strong being respected was unchangeable. The strong were respected. The weak could only be at the bottom of the world and look up to the strong at the top. In the eyes of the soldiers, Fan Jun had already become the existence at the top of their world. He was unreachable. Under the gazes of the crowd, Fan Jun walked up to the commander of the chamberlains of Jin and looked down at the person lying on the ground like a dead dog. He sneered in his heart. When was there a time when the chamberlains of Jin were high and mighty and looked down on them? Because they were the personal guards of Hong Ji, their status was higher than others. Unfortunately, what about now? In Fan Jun's eyes, the commander of the chamberlains of Jin was a dead dog, a lackey that no one wanted. Looking at the commander, Fan Jun said in a cold voice, "Isn't it good to bring him along in the palace? Isn't it better to stay at home? Why come out and find trouble for yourself?" Indeed, if the chamberlains of Jin weren't greedy and wanted to become the Marquis of 10,000, they might still be living a peaceful life with a wife and children. Unfortunately, they couldn't start all over again. Today, the commander of the chamberlains of Jin would have to pay the price for his greed. He raised his head with difficulty and looked at Fan Jun in horror. He didn't expect Fan Jun to be so terrifying. Furthermore, what are you trying to do? I am His Majesty's personal guard. Do you dare to kill me? As soon as those words came out, everyone looked at him as if they were looking at an idiot. At this time, you're still trying to cause trouble. Why don't you think about it properly? Since you dare to bring soldiers in, you must not be afraid of Hong Ji. Doing this will only increase the other party's desire to kill you. Poochie. The sound of flesh being cut rang out. Suddenly, the scene became very quiet. Everyone looked at the commander of the chamberlains of Jin. Some couldn't believe it, some took it for granted, some were shocked, and some felt relieved. At this moment, everyone's gazes were different. It was very interesting. Gurgle gurgle. A strange sound rang out, and everyone's gazes were drawn over. What they saw was a head rolling on the ground. It was none other than the commander of the House of Golden Guards who had been beheaded by Fan Jun. Even after his death, he still couldn't believe that Fan Jun would really dare to make a move on him. What a pity. If he had known this before, he wouldn't have ended up like this. After doing all this, he turned his head to look at the crowd. Looking at them, he really didn't want to start a massacre. Although he was here to kill people today, it had nothing to do with them. Fan Jun looked at the crowd, and his voice was transmitted into the ears of all the students from Second High School. Everyone, I have come less this time because I have no intention of being your enemy. I have come less this time mainly because I want to settle some personal grudges. So, if everyone can give me some face and leave now, if everyone insists on stopping me. As he spoke, he swept his gaze over the crowd. Then, he raised his long saber and swung it to the side. Swoosh! Pong! A loud sound rang out. In the direction where Fan Jun swung his saber, a 3-meter-long saber mark appeared. Hiss! When everyone looked over, they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Their hearts were shocked to the extreme. What kind of power was this? What kind of method was this? This question appeared in everyone's mind. Perhaps they didn't know that even Fan Jun himself had the same thought. He knew that this might have something to do with the two kinds of medicinal pills he had eaten before. He could feel that this energy didn't make him afraid. On the contrary, it made him feel very comfortable. Everyone, what do you think? Looking at the crowd, he waited for their reply. At this moment, the long saber in his hand was placed horizontally in front of his chest. It was as if he was saying that if they agreed, they would be safe and sound. If they didn't, he would kill them. This action was seen by everyone. Suddenly, the House of Golden Guards, who rarely came, were the first to give up on guarding. At this moment, they only wanted to leave the area around Fan Jun. As for the mission given to them by Hong Ji, under the pressure of Fan Jun's aura, they had already forgotten about it. The House of Golden Guards will leave. After saying this, the vice commander of the House of Golden Guards led the rest of the House of Golden Guards away, heading towards the Imperial Palace. As for the city gate guards, they were even more tactful. Even the House of Golden Guards had left, so what use was there for them to stay here? Of course, there was still one use, and that was to tell the entire Heavenly King City that Fan Jun was not to be trifled with. And today's matter was even more out of their hands. Just like this, the two groups of people came quickly and left quickly. In comparison, Fan Jun didn't feel anything. After the House of Golden Guards and the others left, Fan Jun led the army forward. During this time, all the people in the royal city who had once been enemies with Li Jiping received news of Lu Wei's death from the Ministry of War. In the royal city, more than half of the officials began to think of a way out for themselves. Those who could become officials in the royal city were naturally very smart. After receiving news of Lu Wei's death from the Ministry of War, they sensed that something was different, especially the direction that Fan Jun was heading in. That was the direction that the imperial uncle was at. It was easy to imagine what he wanted to do. Each and every one of them usually acted so arrogant, but now, when their lives were threatened, everything changed. While the massacre was happening in the royal city, Li Jiping, who was far away at the border, received a letter from Aunt Meng. After receiving the letter and reading the message, the smile on his face slowly turned serious. In the end, his smile completely disappeared and was replaced with a gloomy expression that was extremely cold. When the middle-aged general saw Li Jiping's change, he couldn't help but ask, "Marshal, what happened to make you like this?" He didn't say anything. Instead, he handed the letter in his hand to the middle-aged general for him to read. What? How could this be? The moment he received the letter and read the contents, the middle-aged general was speechless. I also find it hard to believe. I don't understand why Fan Jun would do this. Doesn't he understand that he's courting death? Li Jiping said, "That's right. How could he do this? Moreover, how could an army of over 30,000 be able to do this in the royal city?" The middle-aged general questioned. At this moment, the tent fell into a deathly silence. No one spoke, and everyone fell in a deep thought. Chapter 13:10. Report. A shout broke the silence in the tent. The two of them woke up from the silence and looked outside. Li Jiping said, "Come in." The next moment, the soldier at the entrance walked in and stood in front of Li Jiping. He said, "Marshal, we have just received news that the soldiers of the three empires have returned. They also said that they will not attack Hongtian Empire for the next 10 years. Li Jiping, the middle-aged general. This came too suddenly. Just a moment ago, he was still thinking about how to deal with the situation in the capital. Who knew that something like this would happen first? However, why did the three empires suddenly withdraw their troops? There is no accurate information about the reason behind their withdrawal. As the marshal of an army, if he didn't know the real reason why the other party withdrew their troops, he wouldn't return so hastily. If that was the case, he wouldn't have reached where he was today, becoming a prince and marshal of an empire. Towards Li Jiping's question, the kneeling soldier hesitated. He did find out that the other party had withdrawn their troops. However, the news was too strange and impossible. He didn't dare to say it. Li Jiping noticed the soldier's expression and frowned. "Tell me what's going on." The moment he said those words, the soldier tilted his body and nodded his head in response. The news that we received previously was due to someone taking the initiative to stop them on their way to the Hongtian Empire, after which they killed several 100,000 of their men and threatened the marshals of the three empires to not invade the Hongtian Empire for the time being. What? Li Jiping was stunned. Is it possible for one person to kill hundreds of thousands of people? Is it possible? Furthermore, it is related to Hongtian Empire. No matter how he thought about it, this matter might have something to do with Lin Rei and the others. No, Fan Jun. Suddenly, Li Jiping thought of a possibility. Now, this matter had occurred here, and Fan Jun had appeared in the royal capital. Didn't this mean that his time had come? In addition, he could sense that there was a pair of hands pulling the strings behind all of this, and this person was naturally Lin Li. As he imagined this, a happy smile appeared on his originally cold and hesitant face. His previous doubts had been completely resolved, and he no longer cared about the matters of the capital city. Previously, he hadn't fallen out with Hongji because of the matter at the border. Now that the matter at the border had been resolved, he believed that with Lin Rei around, the other empires wouldn't dare to invade for a while. Go, assemble the border troops. Tell the reinforcements you brought this time to bring their own things and accompany this king to the capital. As he spoke, a cold, killing intent flashed in his eyes. This time, it's time to settle what happened back then. 1,000,000 miles away, Lin Rei was being led by Zhong Li to the entrance to the underworld that Zhong Li had mentioned. Within the mountain range, Lin Rei and the others left the cliff and looked up. Before, the continuous mountain range was quite majestic, and this world's unique spiritual chi made Lin Rei feel very comfortable. Where is the entrance? Lin Rei asked. At this moment, they were at a cliff, and Zhong Li said that this was the entrance. Then, as he thought about this, he looked down at the bottom of the cliff. It was pitch black, and there was a lingering fog. It can't be. As he spoke, Zhong Li pointed down and expressed his guess. Looking at Lin Rei, Zhong Li nodded and said, "Senior, this is the entrance to the underworld. It is also below where the mutated beasts live." As expected, hearing this, Lin Rei understood. However, he didn't expect that the entrance to the underworld would be in such a place. Moreover, there were mutated beasts as he thought about this. He turned to look at the flaming tiger. "I've given you the mutated beast. Are you confident?" "Yes, of course." The flaming tiger didn't even think and promised. "Brother Lei, who am I? I am your most loyal subordinate. You have to believe me." As it spoke, it looked down, and an undetectable murderous intent began to brew in its eyes. This fellow. Looking at the flaming tiger's battle intent, he was amused. He really didn't care about mutated beasts. However, he just found out that there was a huge existence below. If there were only mutated beasts and the entrance, he might not be so worried. However, as a saint-level array master, he knew too well how malleable Zhanda could be. However, the power of an array was too many. One moment, it was a trap array. The next moment, it could become a shocking, killing array. At this moment, he could only pray that the flaming tiger wouldn't be too rash and fail to prove itself. Sigh. He shook his head helplessly and looked at Zhong Li. Then, he picked her up and nodded to the flaming tiger beside him before jumping down. Huff, huff, huff. On the way down, a gust of wind flashed past. Lin Rei, who had a defense, didn't notice anything. However, Zhong Li didn't. She had a defense, but it was too weak. It was equivalent to having nothing. The fasting period was not worth mentioning in front of this gust of wind. In comparison, seeing Zhong Li in such a state, Lin Rei waved his hand, and a stream of saint spiritual chi covered Zhong Li's body. Suddenly, the feeling of being torn apart disappeared and was replaced by a warm feeling. The wound that was torn apart earlier was also slowly recovering under this energy. He turned to the flaming tiger and said, "Flaming tiger, let's go down and see what's going on. I have a feeling that it's not that simple." The flaming tiger didn't hesitate. He also felt that this was just a cliff and there was such a strong energy. From a wind, he could feel that it was at least the power of the nascent soul realm. Although it was slow, it was real. "Don't worry, Brother Lei." Then, he quickly fell down. He wanted to see what was below. Moreover, just now, he vaguely felt the suppression from the bloodline. Although the feeling was brief, it was real. Fool guy, you're lucky that you're so presumptuous in front of me. See how I'll deal with you when I find you later. With indignation in his heart, his body returned to its original form. The falling speed became faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared in front of Lin Ray. How deep is this cliff? It's just a little bit. Why does it feel like it's endless? Looking down, Lin Ray muttered to himself. He didn't notice it just now. However, when he saw Flaming Tiger returning to its original form and disappearing after falling, he couldn't help but suspect that there was something strange about this place. System, investigate this place. Okay, the system didn't say much. It seemed that it had also noticed that there was something different about this place. So, it seemed that he had to be careful. With that thought, the Chaos Dragon Spear appeared in his hand, and he was ready for battle. This action made Zhong Li even more nervous. Chapter 13:11. The atmosphere became more and more tense. The atmosphere became more and more strange. Zhong Li Jin clearly felt it, but she did not understand why she did not feel anything. The only thing she could feel was that the thing in the abyss was especially strong, so strong that her body could not accept it. Be careful. There might be something here. Lin Ray's voice transmitted to Zhong Li Jin's second middle school. She turned her head and looked at Lin Ray. A strange light flashed through her eyes. She nodded heavily and replied, "Understood, senior." After saying that, the two of them fell into silence. Because Lin Ray was there, Zhong Li Jin felt extremely safe and at ease. At the bottom of the abyss, the Scarlet Flame Tiger had returned to its original size. Its body was 100 jong tall, but even so, it still had not reached the bottom. What exactly is this place to think that roar? Suddenly, a bestial roar came from below. Along with the appearance of the bestial roar, a blazing energy rushed out from below. Fuck! The Scarlet Flame Tiger lowered its head and looked down. That blazing energy made it feel extremely uncomfortable, especially the suppression from its bloodline, which made it extremely angry. It did not expect that in such a remote place, there would be a demonic beast with a bloodline purer than its own. Who are you? Get out here! The Scarlet Flame Tiger roared furiously. Suddenly, it rushed down with a surge of energy. Suddenly, the fog that was originally enveloping it dissipated for a moment and recovered. That is, the moment the fog separated, the Scarlet Flame Tiger's gaze locked on. Although it was only for a moment, it was still able to see it clearly. Zhu, how is this possible? 4,000 years had not only allowed the Scarlet Flame Tiger's cultivation to increase greatly, it had also increased its knowledge by a lot. When it saw the thing in the abyss, just now, it was completely stunned. Zhu, a ferocious beast that had existed since an unknown time. It was as if it had existed since the beginning of the world. When the world was created, it had already appeared in the desolate era. Of course, it had only appeared once and did not leave much behind. However, that mere instant was enough for everyone to remember his existence. There was no other reason than his ferocity. When Zhu appeared, the sky changed color. Everything that Zhu did not like would be mercilessly erased by him. Not long after the beginning of the chaotic era, Zhu's figure disappeared from everyone's sight. Not necessarily. He had left behind a few words in the book, as well as a portrait of Candle. Unfortunately, the Scarlet Flame Tiger happened to be looking at the existence of Feng Zhu in the system's library. However, he did not dare to believe that the infamous Zhu would actually exist in such a desolate place. Holy shit, that's not right. If that guy is really Zhu, not to mention me, even if Brother Lei would come, he would likely not be a match for Zhu. The Scarlet Flame Tiger's death was fine, but he didn't want anything to happen to Lin Ray. Brother Lei? His divine sense and spiritual power instantly turned left and released Dao Extremity in an attempt to contact Lin Ray. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, half a minute had passed. However, There was still no reply from Lin Ray. The Scarlet Flame Tiger was truly anxious. Brother Lei, he called out again, but Lin Ray's voice still did not resound in his mind. Forget it. Seeing that Lin Ray did not give any response, he understood that he could only resign himself to fate this time. The sense of danger that emerged from below grew even stronger. The Scarlet Flame Tiger even felt as if he could see the arrival of the Grim Reaper. Zhu, although your inheritance is mysterious, this king does not believe in evil. Even though he said those words, his heart was trembling. Zhu, that was Zhu, not an ordinary monstrous beast. He did not have the slightest idea of how to defeat Zhu. Where did you come from? Why does this emperor sense a familiar aura from you? Zhu's voice sounded from below and landed on the Scarlet Flame Tiger, second middle school. He frowned and lowered his head to look. A familiar aura. Other than the holy spiritual aura, there shouldn't be anything else. As he thought about this, he released his cultivation. Instantly, it extended downward. He believed that this was the energy that Zhu was talking about. Chaotic era. You came from the chaotic era? The muffled voice sounded again. You. Previously, he had only guessed. Now, he was certain that the person who spoke was really Zhu. However, this name seemed to be a very distant thing in the untainted age. Chaotic era? The Scarlet Flame Tiger frowned. He recalled the records of Zhu's disappearance from the chaotic era and seemed to have thought of something. He continued, Senior, you left the chaotic era for too long. Now, the chaotic era is no longer called the chaotic era. Oh, Zhu replied indifferently. Then, he fell into silence. He seemed to be thinking about something. No one knew what it was exactly. Yes, the Scarlet Flame Tiger did not stop. He did not dare to act rashly in front of Zhu. After all, Zhu's existence was a supreme existence. Of course, that was in his heart. As for what other people thought, it was their business. Senior, the current chaotic era is no longer the same as in your memory. It has become the current sacred world. The energy that you feel might be the energy of a saint. As he spoke, he raised his hand. Half-holy spiritual aura instantly gushed out from his palm and rushed downward. As expected, a soft sigh sounded from below. Then, the declining voice sounded again. Lume, fellow Taoist Lume, are you well? Fellow Taoist Lume. The Scarlet Flame Tiger was unfamiliar with this name. He did not know who Lume was. After all, he did not know all the people, things of the chaotic era. It was not easy to read a few introductions for books. Moreover, there were many books in the scripture pavilion in the system. He could not read all of them. It seems like there are not many old friends left. The voice sighed. A regretful voice sounded from below. Then, the shadow of a huge creature suddenly appeared in the fog. No matter how stupid the Scarlet Flame Tiger was, he knew that it was going to rush out and be proud. As he thought about it, his body tensed up. He looked down vigilantly. The spiritual chi in his body circulated to the left. He was ready to fight at any time. Below, the huge shadow grew bigger and bigger. Soon, a huge shadow appeared in front of the Scarlet Flame Tiger. A strange Zhu appeared in front of Lin Ray and the others. Zhu had the head of a dragon, the body of a qilin, and the tail of a dragon. Its cultivation was extremely high and unfathomable. The Scarlet Flame Tiger felt like an ignorant child in front of Zhu. It did not have the slightest intention of fighting to the death. Little guy, the bloodline of the Scarlet Flame Tiger has been cultivated to this level by you. It seems like you did not work hard in private. Looking at Zhu, the Scarlet Flame Tiger scratched its head awkwardly. If it was said that it worked hard in cultivation, then it was true that it did not. In Lin Ray's body, it did not need to deliberately cultivate. Spiritual chi would enter its body at every moment. Its cultivation was increasing at every moment. Of course, if the Scarlet Flame Tiger had a high-grade bloodline, it might not only be in the divine venerable realm. Sigh. Looking at the Scarlet Flame Tiger, Zhu sighed. Its face showed a sad expression. It recalled its charm in the chaotic era. It thought of the carefree journey with its best friends. It was so beautiful, so cool, and so happy. Unfortunately, ever since it came here, it did not have the chance to go back. It was not that it did not want to, but it did not know how to go back. It did not have the ability to go back. No, as if it thought of something, its eyes lit up. It raised its head and looked at the scarlet flame tiger anxiously. Little guy, can you tell the Emperor how you came to this place? Once those words were spoken, the scarlet flame tiger was stunned. He truly did not know how to answer Zhu's question. After all, it also came out when it came to this place. So, Senior, it's a long story. Actually, it's also Little Tiger. Just as the scarlet flame tiger was speaking, Lin Rei's voice came from above and entered the scarlet flame tiger in Zhu's ears. Zhu raised its head and locked its gaze on Lin Rei. When it sensed Lin Rei's cultivation, a smile flashed across its face. It raised its head and looked at Lin Rei. Little kid, are you with this little guy? Lin Rei noticed Zhu's existence the moment he arrived. However, he was a little stunned by the existence in front of him that did not look like anything. Ding! Host, please be careful. The cultivation of the thing in front of you is very good. It is estimated to be at the Dao integration stage. Dao integration stage, this is also what? Dao integration stage? Lin Rei was dumbfounded. He did not react earlier. However, when he did, he was shocked by Zhu's cultivation. What kind of level was the Dao integration stage? It was the peak existence in the sacred world. Back then, Hongjun was only at the Dao integration stage. Furthermore, it was only a preliminary estimate. What was the point of this? If it went deeper, the other party's cultivation would gradually increase. That is possible because the aura that Zhu is emitting right now is only at the Dao integration stage. Since you have not activated the probing ability, the system can only make a preliminary estimate. Lin Rei, hearing these words, Linli was dumbfounded. So it really was as he had thought. As he thought about it, his shocked gaze locked onto Zhu. It was really unbelievable that such an existence would guard such a desolate place. Zhongli, is this the strange beast you're talking about? Air. Zhu turned to look at Lin Rei and nodded awkwardly. Yes, Senior. This is the strange beast that guards the underworld. However, when I came here previously, it was not like this. It was just an ordinary cliff. He looked around at the gray, misty surroundings and was completely dumbfounded by what he saw. She had no idea what was going on. What the F***CK is going on? She felt terrible. Previously, she thought that the strange beasts here were nothing to them. Now, she looked at this guy who was estimated to be at the Dao integration stage. Wasn't this a blatant slap to her face? Kid, the Emperor is asking you if you are with Little Tiger. An impatient voice sounded and entered Lin Rei's ears, instantly waking him up. He looked at Zhu and nodded subconsciously. Yes, I did come with Little Tiger. It was up to him to say that a wise man submits to circumstances. When facing an opponent who was stronger than him, it was better not to keep up appearances and suffer. A real man should know when to yield and when to stand tall. Wasn't that better? Brother Lei, what should we do next? Little Tiger's voice sounded in his mind. Looking at Little Tiger, Lin Rei hesitated for a moment. When he looked at Zhu again, a smile flashed across his face. He clasped his hands and asked shamelessly, Senior, can we enter the underworld from here? The underworld? Lin Rei's question instantly attracted everyone's attention. Yes, the underworld. Lin Rei nodded heavily. Zhu's relaxed face instantly became serious. She stared at Lin Rei with vigilance. Kid, you are not from this world. Therefore, the Emperor still advises you to return where you came from. Be a good person and do things steadily. Don't do things that you can't handle. As she spoke, her gaze fell on Zhongli, who was trapped by Lin Rei. She shook her head helplessly and raised her claws, slashing at the energy barrier that trapped Zhongli. Bang! In an instant, just an instant, Zhongli, who was trapped by Lin Rei's energy barrier, was shattered by Zhu's gentle words. His energy dissipated into the air. Seeing that his energy barrier was broken, Lin Rei was furious. However, when he thought of his opponent's cultivation level, The surging atmosphere instantly calmed down. "Senior, don't you think this is a little swoosh?" A piercing sound rang out as Zhong Li, who had been standing tall in the air, instantly disappeared from his original spot. He turned around and appeared beside Zhu as he stared blankly at the scene before him. His horizons had widened. Sigh. It was a pity that he could not by the call the wind and summon the rain during this period of time. "This person is from the underworld. I recognize his aura. Please return. With the Emperor's protection, you won't be able to pass." As he spoke, he turned around and led Zhong Li away, disappearing from Lin Rei and Zhong Li's line of sight. The slaughter continued in Hongtian City. Fan Jun did not let the matter rest after killing Lu Wei. In the blink of an eye, he slaughtered the imperial uncle's residence, and then the officials of the various empires. Other than those who were on good terms with Li Jiping, the other officials were all killed by Fan Jun. Those who were too important to be useful were all killed without exception. Of course, they were basically the main members of those officials' families. The rest of the servants and maids were all dismissed. In contrast, in the palace, Hong Ji had already been killed. He sat on the ground, paralyzed. His face was filled with pain and malevolence. Previously, he was worried about Li Jiping and thought that it would be a pity to use the three empires to kill Li Jiping. However, he did not expect that there would be such a plaything in the capital. With 30,000 soldiers, they were able to suppress all the military forces in the capital. The other party did not even have a chance to retaliate. "Li Jiping, I didn't expect that after you died, your subordinate would still do this. What is he trying to do? Does he really want my Hongtian Empire to be destroyed before he stops?" On the road back to the capital city, Li Jiping was galloping on horseback, hurrying along without stopping. If Hong Ji saw Li Jiping, he would probably jump up in fright and ask him a question. "Didn't you get up?" Chapter 13:12. At the bottom of the cliff, Lin Rei and the Scarlet Flame Tiger stood proudly in midair. Their eyes were fixed on the dense fog below them. They didn't know where they were, and they felt helpless. Zhu's existence was beyond everyone's expectations. Lin Rei and the Scarlet Flame Tiger had never imagined that the empty nether region would have such a powerful and invincible existence. "Brother Lei, what should we do next?" She looked at Lin Rei and asked helplessly. He really didn't know what to do with Zhu. Although he was full of pride before, Zhu was too powerful. She looked at the Scarlet Flame Tiger. How could she know what to do? He also felt Zhu's power. If Zhu was really guarding the area below them, their chances of entering the underworld might be slim. However, he wanted the bloodline grass and the high-grade demonic beast bloodline. His initial hesitation was strengthened. They had to enter the underworld no matter what. It was for no other reason than that little tiger could break through to the Saint Realm, or even better. Without a high-grade demonic beast bloodline and a bloodline, little tiger's future would be bleak. Sigh. He let out a long sigh and shook his head with a bitter smile. He walked into the distance. With Zhu here, their chances of entering the underworld were slim. Unless there was another entrance somewhere else, Brother Lei. Actually, looking at Lin Rei, who was about to leave, the Scarlet Flame Tiger hesitated. It seemed like it wanted to say something, but was too embarrassed to say it. Sensing the Scarlet Flame Tiger's strange behavior, he turned around and looked at the Scarlet Flame Tiger. He didn't hide the question in his eyes. I think we could be honest with Zhu." Finally, the hesitation in its eyes turned into certainty. "Zhu wanted to ask us how we got in just now. What if Zhu doesn't know how to leave after entering this place? Even if his cultivation level is at the Dao integration stage or even higher, if he doesn't know how to leave this place and is imprisoned here by something, does that mean we can help him leave this place and the Dark Void domain? If that's the case, maybe Zhu can help us enter the underworld." Lin Rei didn't reply. He looked at the Scarlet Flame Tiger with a strange gaze. For a moment, he realized that little tiger wasn't that stupid. Of course, he wouldn't express this thought out loud. If he did, who knew what the Scarlet Flame Tiger would do? However, Scarlet Flame Tiger's words were still a solution. Thinking about it carefully, Zhu's question did have the same meaning as little tiger's. No, there was no response, and he fell into silence. He entered the system with his spiritual sense and looked up at the sky. He repeated Little Tiger's thoughts and the system's original explanation. "Heh, I didn't expect this little guy to have such a brain." The system laughed. Hearing this, Lin Ray smiled awkwardly. He didn't think that the system's thoughts would be similar to his. However, this wasn't the time to talk about this. As he thought about it, his expression turned serious. "System, tell me, is what Xiaohu said reasonable or not? If it's really as Little Tiger said, then can I go and give it a try?" At this moment, the system's opinion was often the most important. After all, the system was experienced and knowledgeable. Even if it couldn't give a decisive opinion in the end, it could still be used as a reference. However, what made Lin Ray speechless was that after he finished speaking, the system fell into silence and didn't speak. After going crazy for about 10 or 20 minutes, there was still no response from the system. Lin Ray understood that the system wouldn't help him. As he thought about it, his spiritual sense dissipated and he exited the system and returned to his body. "Take care of it yourself. You can't always come to me when something happens." As soon as Lin Ray left, the system's voice sounded out and disappeared again. In contrast, Lin Ray didn't know what the system meant. At this moment, after Lin Ray exited the system, he decided that Little Tiger's idea might be worth a try. As he thought about it, he smiled at Little Tiger. "Little Tiger, if you guess correctly this time, I'll definitely refine a saint-level pill for you to improve your soul realm." "Really, Brother Lei?" Little Tiger was excited. In addition to physical cultivation, a demonic bee's soul power was the second most important. Generally, the only way for a demonic beast to improve their soul power was to absorb the essence of the sun and moon to improve their overall cultivation. Looking at Little Tiger's excited expression, Lin Ray smiled and nodded. "When have I, your Brother Lei, ever lied to you in this aspect?" As he spoke, he strolled to the front of the red flame tiger and reached out to stroke its head. Then, his expression became serious, and his gaze fell on the ground below. "Phew, success or failure depends on this." Exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Lin Ray circulated his cultivation to the extreme. The chaotic void spear was also controlled by his spiritual sense. If the discussion went south, he could use it at any time to defend himself. After everything was done, he asked Little Tiger to stay where it was and return to his original place. Looking down, the chaotic dragon spear instantly appeared in his hand. He raised his hand and held the chaotic dragon's spear tightly. The saint's spiritual chi in his body circulated to the extreme and transmitted into the chaotic dragon spear. Suddenly, a giant chaotic dragon spear shadow appeared below Lin Ray. Shadow spear kill. He had obtained the shadow spear a long time ago. However, this kind of spear was used to store power and wasn't suitable for battle. Therefore, he had neglected it. He hadn't expected it to come in handy now. The first form of the shadow spear was formed. The pressure of a perfected Dao fruit instantly reached the extreme. "Go!" With a shake of his hand, the giant spear shadow broke free from Lin Ray's control and charged into the fog below at lightning speed. He believed that although this spear couldn't do anything to Zhu, it would at least alarm him and make him reappear. And that was all he hoped for. After all, only then would he have a chance to negotiate with Zhu. Boom! A loud explosion rang out from below. The instant the explosion rang out, it was accompanied by a heaven-shaking roar. "Ants, Emperor didn't intend to lower himself to your level. I didn't expect the two of you to be so ignorant. Aren't you afraid that Emperor will kill you?" Zhu's voice rang out from below. From his voice, one could tell that he was truly angry. Extremely angry. Swish! The sound of something breaking through the air rang out from below. In the next instant, Zhu's giant figure reappeared before Lin Ray and Little Tiger. However, Zhu didn't have the same appearance as before. He glared at Lin Ray as if he wanted to skin Lin Ray alive. Lin Ray wasn't afraid when he saw Zhu's current appearance. Instead, a smile remained on his face. However, the scarlet flaming tiger in the distance saw everything clearly. At this moment, Lin Rei's back was drenched in sweat. Looking at Zhu, Lin Rei smiled and said, Zhu, I know you're powerful, but how about we make a deal? Chapter 13:13. A deal. Zhu looked at Lin Rei with a strange expression when he heard the word deal. Clearly, he had not expected Lin Rei to bring up the matter of a deal. In his heart, he did not think that a small saint at the Dao Fruit Realm could exchange anything with him. In his opinion, he did not lack anything. In his opinion, Lin Rei could not give him anything either. Lin Rei could see through Zhu's thoughts from the surface. After all, he was indeed lacking in front of Zhu's strength. Lin Rei smiled when he saw the disbelief on Zhu's face. The comparison was very normal. Zhu, I know what you're thinking. I'm just a small saint. I'm nothing in front of you. I don't have anything that you want either. Zhu raised his head and nodded in agreement when he heard this. He did not care about Lin Rei's face at all. However, when he heard Lin Rei's next words, Zhu, who had been disdainful, became serious and excited. Lin Rei smiled as he looked at Zhu. I want to tell you that my deal will allow you to leave this place, leave this world, and return to the saint's world. You'll obtain true freedom. With that, the smell of dessert flashed. What do you think of this deal? Of course, if you don't think it's possible, then let's forget about this matter. After all, with your great strength, what can't be solved? What do you think is right? You? At this moment, the way Zhu looked at Lin Rei changed. The disdain and contempt that had been there before had disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by an expression of reevaluation. This was especially true when he heard Zhu's words hit the nail on the head. Just this alone was enough to prove that this small saint who was only at the Dao Fruit Realm was different. What? You don't agree? Lin Rei's heart pounded when he saw Zhu remain silent. After all, there were many examples of people who failed to show off in front of an expert who was far stronger than them. Usually, there was only one outcome for these people, death. And he, Lin Rei, did not want to be one of those examples, so he was very nervous. He was afraid that he had guessed wrong. Zhu, who had been deep in thought, was awakened by Lin Rei. She returned to her senses and looked at Lin Rei with a smile. At this moment, Lin Rei's originally nervous heart finally calmed down. Little guy, tell me your conditions. Zhu did not ask if they could leave or when they could leave. Instead, she directly asked for the conditions. In comparison, Lin Rei understood that the other party was not simple. In front of such a powerful expert, Lin Rei did not dare to relax in the slightest. His smile remained, but his heart was extremely nervous. Let me enter the underworld, and, as he spoke, he narrowed his eyes and continued, tell me about the situation in the underworld, then give me a bloodline grass, and, little fellow, enough is enough. Zhu became somewhat impatient when she heard Lin Rei's increasing demands and reminded him. Don't worry. I believe that these things will be very easy for you. Lin Rei did not choose to stop because of Zhu's warning. Speak, Zhu said. Hee, that's more like it. Lin Rei's face was full of smiles. He was overjoyed inside. Just think about it. How great would it be to threaten an expert who knows how many times stronger than him? Of course, Lin Rei did not go overboard. He had handled this matter perfectly. Last one. He pointed at Zhu's body and said, give me 3 drops of your essence blood. Then, I will take you away and return to the saint's world. I will give you freedom. Roar. As soon as Lin Rei finished speaking, a furious roar emerged from Zhu's mouth. It was accompanied by a terrifying energy. Suddenly, Lin Rei lost control of his body and began to tremble in the air. It was as if he would fall at any moment. Thus, Lin Rei now had an even deeper understanding of Zhu's power. Little fellow, do you know what you just said? Lin Rei did not take Zhu's threat to heart. He shrugged his shoulders and said, of course, it's only 3 drops of essence blood. Only? Hearing those words, Zhu felt as if she had vomited 3 liters of blood. Essence blood was the foundation of all living things in the world. This was especially true for demonic beasts. They had less essence blood compared to humans. A single drop would take hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years to recover. However, Lin Ray had asked for 3 drops of essence blood. The energy contained within those 3 drops of essence blood was enormous. With Zhu's cultivation base, it was unknown how long it would take to recover 3 drops of essence blood. Therefore, he hesitated. "Host, you're a little shady." The system's voice rang out. "Am I shady?" Although that was what he said, he had the same feeling in his heart. He had originally planned to ask for 1 drop of essence blood. However, when he recalled that the other party species was a little amazing, he decided to ask for 3 drops. Who knows, they might be useful in the future. As the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. It was always better to take precautions in advance than to wait for it to happen. Time passed peacefully in silence. No one knew how much time had passed. All they knew was that the sun of the celestial empire had moved from the east to the west. Finally, Zhu spoke. 3 drops is impossible. 2 drops, at most 2 drops. If you ask for more, this deal is off. However, although Zhu was somewhat dissatisfied with the price offered by the other party, it was still a sure win. In the end, Zhu appeared to be enduring the pain and nodded in agreement. "Very well. Since Senior has asked for 2 drops, then 2 drops it is. Senior, you're the bigger one." After saying that, he waved his hand and a jade bottle flew out of his hand. It floated in the air before Zhu. Seeing Lin Ray's actions, Zhu felt a burst of anger in her heart. However, there was nothing she could do about it. Since she had already agreed to it, there was no going back on her words. However, when she thought of Lin Ray's conditions, her gaze locked onto the scarlet flame tiger and a smile flashed across her face. "Little fellow, you're really blessed to have such a master." Zhu understood that the bloodline grass and the demonic beast blood essence could only be used to help this low-level demonic beast fuse its bloodline. Other than that, he really did not know what else these 2 things could be used for. Of course, he could also absorb all the energy in the blood essence and use it to increase his cultivation. Unfortunately, that was impossible. Zhu could see that the saint's spiritual qi in Lin Ray's body was extremely vigorous. His Dao foundation was not the slightest bit illusory. It was impossible for such a person to use such a method to increase his strength. However, if Lin Ray knew about Zhu's thoughts, he would probably laugh out loud. After all, before this, he had used the energy transmitted from the floating treasure mirror to recover his original cultivation. Then, he had broken through to the complete Dao fruit realm. "Senior, what do you mean by that?" Lin Ray knew. Zhu also knew. However, only the scarlet flame tiger was a little confused. "So you don't know?" Seeing the confused look on the scarlet flame tiger's face, Zhu smiled awkwardly and shook her head. Nothing. I'm just a little emotional. How good would it be if I could meet such a responsible person like him?" Chapter 13-14. Seeing Zhu's expression, the flaming tiger scratched his head helplessly. He did not understand what the 2 of them were talking about, but he understood one thing. It was because Linley treated him very well, extremely well. If not, his cultivation base wouldn't have risen so quickly. Also, back then, he wanted to eat Linley. If it wasn't for Linley being soft-hearted and subduing him, he would have already died and returned to the 9 heavens. Brother Lei, looking at Lin Ray, a look of gratitude flashed across his eyes. That look was very TSK. That's enough. He waved his hand. He appreciated the flaming tiger's gratitude. After so many years, the 2 of them had gone through thick and thin together. They were even closer than blood brothers. He looked at Zhu again. At this moment, he was most concerned about the 2 drops of blood essence. They were good stuff. If he gave one to the flaming tiger, the rest would be his. "Let's begin. 2 drops of blood essence." Zhu, looking at Lin Ray and the helpless look in his eyes, he gritted his teeth at Lin Ray. If not for the fact that he could not leave this place, he would not have given these 2 drops of blood essence. These were his life. "Sigh, forget it." With a sigh, 2 drops of crystal clear blood essence were spat out from Zhu's mouth. Suddenly, the surrounding spiritual qi began to gather. The spiritual qi was so vast that Lin Ray could not help but click his tongue. Thinking back to when he had devoured spiritual chi with the devouring heaven art, he had thought that it was a lot. However, when he saw the extent of the spiritual chi gathering, he admitted defeat. He reckoned that even the devouring clan would not have the ability to gather spiritual chi like this. The source of all this came from the 2 drops of blood essence. In comparison, Lin Rei's eyes burned with passion. He began to wonder if he could break through the Earth Saint realm and enter the Heavenly Saint realm if he devoured and refined just 1 drop. You little guy, you've really made the Emperor suffer a great loss. Zhu looked at Lin Rei and reluctantly put the 2 drops of blood essence into the jade bottle. Crack! A shattering sound was heard, attracting everyone's attention. They saw that the jade bottle containing the blood essence was starting to crack. Bang! A crisp sound rang out as more and more cracks appeared on the jade bottle. In the end, it completely exploded. F***CK. Lin Rei was dumbfounded. Zhu was dumbfounded. Even the Scarlet Flaming Tiger was dumbfounded. This situation had come too suddenly. The 3 of them were caught unprepared. You don't tell me this bottle is of inferior quality. A strange gaze flashed as he looked at Lin Rei. Lin Rei wanted to refute, but the bottle was indeed broken. Moreover, this jade bottle was very expensive. It was practically the most expensive and best jade bottle he had. Brother Lei, I think you should change to another one. Who knows, this jade bottle might go bad. Lin Rei, Zhu, their gazes were focused on the Scarlet Flame Tiger, as if they were looking at an idiot. What the F***CK? Do you think this is some kind of fruit that will spoil if you can't finish it? What a joke. Of course, Lin Rei took the Scarlet Flaming Tiger's warning seriously. Of course, it was not spoiled. He took out a new jade bottle. This jade bottle was the same as the previous one. It was also rare and was made of star jade. Its value was extremely high. He believed that if this jade bottle made of star jade appeared in the holy world without an owner, it would definitely lead to a bloody storm. I didn't expect you to have so many good things on you. Zhu smiled when he saw the jade bottle that Lin Rei handed over. Of course, he knew about the star jade. Back in the Untainted Land, this kind of thing was very rare. Of course, it was useless to him, but it was a very useful heavenly material and earthly treasure for godly realm cultivators. Hurry up and put it in. Lin Rei was too lazy to respond to Zhu's words. He rolled his eyes and said snappily. His gaze was focused on the blood essence. Looking at the blood essence fusing with the jade bottle, Lin Rei was very excited. At the same time, he prayed that nothing would go wrong this time. The blood essence was stored in the jade bottle as expected. This time, there was no sound of discomfort or the previous scene. Looks like the grate of this jade bottle is still crack. Before he could finish his sentence, the cracking sound from before was heard again. Suddenly, the 3 of them were stunned. F***CK, we can't be so unlucky. His gaze fell on the jade bottle. He saw that the cracks were mending and the speed at which the cracks were gradually increasing. F***CK, can we play properly? After saying that, he raised his head and looked at Zhu with an expression that said, You have to give me an explanation. F***CK, don't look at me like that. He understood Lin Rei's expression. Zhu could not help but explain when he saw Lin Rei's resentful gaze. Little guy, listen to me. The main thing is that the energy in my blood essence may be enormous. So much so that the power of your 2 jade bottles has not reached the hardness to bear it. Yes, that's it. Are you sure? Looking at Zhu, his strange gaze locked onto him. He looked up and down as if he was trying to see through Zhu's thoughts. Unfortunately, forget it. Thinking about how the 2 jade bottles were not working, Lin Rei felt a headache coming on. These 2 jade bottles were the most valuable and also the highest grade. Now, they were useless. Yes, system. I still have the system. Thinking of the system, Lin Rei smiled. His divine sense entered the system, and he raised his head to speak. His voice penetrated the entire system space. System, stop hiding. You should know what happened just now. Tell me. He believed that the system was watching him at all times. Therefore, he did not believe that the system did not know what happened just now. Or perhaps the system already knew that the jade bottles were useless against the blood essence. Time was of the essence. The system still did not respond. The space was silent, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. System, you're not coming out, are you? The system still did not respond. In contrast, Lin Ray did not act like before. Instead, he picked up the sword and placed it on his neck. With an arrogant face, he threatened the system. I'll give you 3 seconds. Come out and explain yourself to me. Otherwise, if I die, you'll have to find a new host. At that time, I can't guarantee that there will be a Hongmeng supreme body in 100 million years or 10 billion years. As he spoke, he held the sword hilt with both hands and placed it on his neck. Using his arm, he moved the sword in his hand and prepared to slash it from the right. TSK, a first-grade Saint grade sword. I wonder if a sword of this grade can leave a few more scars on my body. Who knows, if I use too much force, it might cause a major artery to bleed. At that time, don't blame me for not. You're ruthless, you're awesome. Just as Lin Ray was about to finish his threat, the system's voice appeared. However, it was clear that the system was furious to be able to say such words. Chapter 13:15. Lin Ray, was too lazy to care about the system's business. He only knew that he had achieved his goal. Other than that, nothing else mattered. Moreover, he thought that even if the system was angry, it would not leave him. At most, it would sulk for a few days so that the missions given to him in the future would be harder and the rewards would be cheaper. Host, you are getting more and more shameless. Looking at Lin Ray's proud smile, the system could not help but comment. Oh, looking up at the sky, an imperceptible smile flashed across his face. He cupped his hands and said, You flatter me. This is what I learned from the little dragon and Sir System. Speaking of which, Sir System and the little dragon were my first teachers. System, after Lin Ray said this, the system did not speak anymore. It had nothing to say. It could be said that Lin Ray had blocked its way. What was this called? Teaching the disciple to starve the master to death? Or was it that the student had surpassed the master? Enough, you just want a solution. The system changed the topic, not wanting to stay on that matter any longer. Lin Ray pricked up his ears. He wanted this final result. If it was not for the system's silence, he would not have done so well. Looking at Lin Ray, the more he thought about it, the angrier he got. However, the system still told him the solution. Don't you have a storage in the system? You can use the system's storage equipment. That's it. Hearing the system's solution, Lin Ray was speechless. After all this time, the final result had always been on his shoulders. Thinking about what he had done before, he felt that it was hilarious. Thinking about what he had done before. Hiss, that's too scary. Get out. Lin Ray wanted to say something, but unfortunately, before he could finish, his spiritual sense returned to his body. But, I say, can you be a little more gentlemanly? He rolled his eyes and said in a bad mood. The system was not born. Lin Ray had already expected this, but fortunately, the problem had been solved. With that thought in mind, he strolled through the air and arrived in front of Zhu. He looked at the 2 drops of blood essence placed before him and raised his hand to grab them. Scared? A crisp sound rang out as Lin Ray's outstretched hand was broken by the candle. What's wrong? I won't stop you if you want to die. However, you have to wait until you send me out before you seek death. Okay? Upon hearing this, Lin Ray frowned. Clearly, he did not understand Zhu's words. Don't tell me you didn't see it clearly just now? What? Lin Ray finally understood how painful it was to have an ending without a middle and a beginning. Sigh. It's a miracle that you were able to reach the Saint realm with that level of intelligence. As he spoke, he didn't forget to mock Lin Ray. However, in the next moment, the mocking look on his face disappeared and was replaced by a serious and solemn expression. He pointed at the 2 drops of blood essence and explained, If you had touched them with your hand just now, I can guarantee that in the next moment you... Oh, that's not right. Your entire body and your soul would have received some kind of rumble and be mobilized. And after that, Linley said. He was not the slightest bit careless with regards to the energy within the blood. The reason why he had extended his hand earlier was because he wanted to store the 2 drops of essence blood. Otherwise, if others found out, the entire world of emptiness would probably start killing each other. Ignorant. The look on Linley's face was too dramatic, causing Zhu to feel a sense of defeat in his heart. Looking at Lin Ray, Zhu snorted coldly and continued. The energy within these 2 drops of blood essence is enough for a family to grow from an ordinary person to the peak. So, don't touch them carelessly. He raised his head and widened his eyes. An imperceptible and peculiar emotion flashed across his eyes. At that moment, Lin Ray's hand was already placed above the 2 drops of blood essence. His divine sense instantly wrapped around them. His divine sense suddenly moved. Just a moment ago, he was worried that the 2 drops of blood essence would be powerful enough to injure Lin Ray. Who would have thought that in the next moment, the 2 drops of blood essence would disappear from Lin Ray's hand? Looking at Lin Ray, Zhu increasingly felt that he couldn't see through Lin Ray. If he had thought of killing Lin Ray in the past, he wouldn't do so now. He realized that Lin Ray was hiding a lot of secrets. Just the fact that the blood essence had been taken away was enough to prove it. It seems that this little guy doesn't nag. As he thought about it, he began to ponder. This may be... When he thought about the condition that Lin Ray had agreed to, he, who had originally wanted to try it out, began to believe in it. In comparison, Lin Ray wasn't sure. At that moment, Lin Ray was happily looking at the 2 drops of blood essence in the system's storage. Ding! Item detection automatically activated. What? Lin Ray was dumbfounded. Usually, the system was like a dead person. If he didn't nod his head, the system wouldn't say anything. Motherf asterisk cur ding. Item name detected. Zhu's blood essence. Beginning to detect the energy contained within. At that moment, he understood everything. The system had come for Zhu's blood essence. In comparison, Lin Ray was relieved. Lin Ray didn't stop the system. The main reason was that he wanted to see what kind of energy was contained within Zhu's 2 drops of blood essence. Time slowly passed. The system seemed to be silent. However, Lin Ray knew that this wasn't the case. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Suddenly, the system's voice rang out, arousing Lin Ray's curiosity. Ding! Detection complete. The energy contained within is equivalent to a small dark jade mine. Dark jade mine? Hearing this unfamiliar term, Lin Ray's eyes flashed with doubt. After all, this was the first time he had heard of a dark jade mine. He had never heard of it before. However, he had heard of many spirit veins. Moreover, there were many spirit veins in his storage ring. It's time to explain. Knowing that Lin Ray didn't know, the system opened its mouth to explain to Lin Ray. Dark Jade Mine is a mine in the underworld. It's similar to the Holy Spirit Crystal in the Holy World. However, the energy contained within the Dark Jade here is extremely large. Therefore, it eventually became the currency of the underworld. System, what's the exchange rate for Dark Jade? The system asked as it began to calculate in its mind. Ding. No comment. Lin Ray, he was dumbfounded. How could this be? No comment? What are you trying to do? Although he was angry, he still had to ask questions. After all, there wasn't much difference between him and an illiterate person here. Ding. Back to the topic. The energy contained within Zhu's 2 drops of blood essence is extremely terrifying. The host shouldn't absorb it without permission. This will easily cause unnecessary trouble. Moreover, the host now has the suspended mirror. There's no need to take the risk. The system suggests that the blood essence be exchanged for exchange points to repay the host's debt. Chapter 13:16. Lin Ray didn't say anything. Blood essence was such an important thing. No matter what, he couldn't just give it away. There was so much energy in the blood essence. Who knew what would happen in the future? If he couldn't deal with it, the blood essence would be able to resist for a while. Lin Ray didn't even consider the system's suggestion. As for the money he owed the system, he would pay it back when he had time. After all, he wasn't in a hurry. Okay, now let's talk about the Nether Jade Mine. The system knew what Lin Ray was thinking and didn't continue. Linley became serious. He was rather interested in the nether jade, or if a small vein of nether jade was worth a droplet of essence blood, did that not mean that if he could find a vein of nether jade, he would be able to resolve the matter of exchange points, and he would even be able to give some to the Sect, allowing the Sect to return to normal quickly. By then, he would no longer have to be so cautious in the Saint's world, where he had to consider everything carefully. Lin Ray's eager gaze became even more passionate. It was like a raging fire that wanted to burn the system to ashes. Damn, can't you be more reserved? Seeing the host like this, the system couldn't help but remind him. As Lin Ray's system, seeing the host like this, it couldn't help but sigh. Sigh, forget it. Since things have come to this, it's better to help the host rise quickly. Otherwise, as he thought about it, the space suddenly became heavy. The system's serious voice sounded. Nether Jade, you will probably encounter it later. Lin Ray didn't understand what the system meant. What did it mean by he would encounter it later? Actually, the Nether Jade mine is the same as the Netherworld. It is in the Netherworld, and Nether Jade is the currency of the Netherworld. So, do you think you will encounter it later? Hearing this, Lin Ray's heart sank. His expression became serious. His heart, that originally wanted to enter the Netherworld, slowly calmed down. Nether Jade was in the Netherworld. If the Nether Jade mine was worth a drop of Zhu's blood essence, then the Netherworld was really as weak as it seemed on the surface. Or perhaps what he thought of was just the tip of the iceberg of the underworld. In fact, it was not even the tip of the iceberg. Of course, there was also another explanation, which was that what Zhongli had said before was a lie. The sects in the underworld were very powerful, so powerful that they were enough to make Zhu fear them. F***CK, it can't be. His heart was in a mess. He wanted to enter the underworld, but he did not dare to do so. If a powerful existence like Zhu was guarding the entrance, then, for a moment, Lin Ray was conflicted. He didn't know what kind of decision he should make. The energy contained within the Nether Jade is extremely vast. It's even greater than the holy spirit crystals of the Saint's world. If he said that he was afraid of entering the sacred world, it was indeed a little. After all, it would be hypocritical to say that he was not afraid of such an unfamiliar place. If he said that he was not afraid, it would be even more unrealistic. However, if he were to enter or not, it was a very good question in Lin Ray's heart. In the outside world, seeing Lin Ray's silence, Zhu became a little impatient. In any case, he was also an expert. What's wrong with him? Is he looking down on humans, or looking down on ferocious beasts or something? How dare he ignore the Emperor? Does he really think that he is a golden bachelor? Is he so great because he is rich? Looking at Lin Ray's meditative appearance, Zhu finally could not bear it any longer and walked in front of Lin Ray. Looking at Lin Ray, who was still in a daze, he opened his mouth and blew out a breath. And what the F***CK is that smell? In the system, Lin Ray, who was in deep thought, suddenly smelled a terrible stench. In an instant, his meditative state was broken. With a thought, he exited the system space. Mother Kerr, what is this thing? Looking at it, a bloody mouth appeared. The source of the stench came from this bloody mouth. That smell, Tiske, it's sour and irritating to the eyes. Little brat, you are finally awake. When Lin Ray regained his senses, Zhu was very happy. As for what Lin Ray was thinking, if Zhu knew about it, it would probably be another great battle of the century. Looking at Zhu, Lin Ray was filled with anger. If not for the fact that he could not defeat Zhu would not be able to do anything to him. Huff, I am not angry. When he thought about Zhu's strength, the anger that surged in his heart slowly subsided under Lin Ray's self-hypnosis. However, the stench from Zhu's mouth was still there. In comparison, Lin Ray sealed his sense of smell and walked to the side. Looking at Zhu's mouth, the anger that had calmed down was instantly ignited again. Mother Kerr, you are an expert of your generation. How can you do such a childish thing? As he thought about it, He cupped his hands and said, "May I know why you are looking for me?" Lin Rei seemed to have forgotten that they were in the middle of a deal. Now that Zhu had given him the 2 drops of blood essence, he originally wanted to see Lin Rei's sincerity. He did not expect that the first thing Lin Rei said when he regained his senses would be this. In response, Zhu was stunned when he heard this. His entire being was in a daze. "What do you mean by what? Big brother, have you forgotten the agreement between us?" When he thought of this, his gaze towards Lin Rei suddenly turned cold. "Little brat, you seem to have forgotten something important." Something important? Lin Rei was startled when he felt Zhu's murderous gaze. Suddenly, the matter of the deal from before came to his mind. After what the system had said, he had completely forgotten about it. When he thought about it, an awkward look appeared on his face. He scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. How could I, right? As he said that, he recalled his previous attitude. For a moment, his face was full of smiles, and he quickly explained, "Senior, you see, you've only given me 2 drops of blood essence. You haven't given me the bloodline grass yet. Besides, didn't I mention my condition? You have to bring me into the underworld. Look at me, damn it." Zhu was clearly unhappy when he heard this. "I've already given you the 2 drops of blood essence. The deal should be more than 30% complete." His icy expression did not fade away. He stared at Lin Rei and said unhappily, "Little brat, a deal is between 2 parties. I've already given you the blood essence. You should at least give me something in return. For example," he pointed downwards and continued, "no matter what, you have to rescue me from this place." Rescue you? That's right, rescue you." When he said that, a trace of shame and indignation appeared on his cold face. Back then, because the Emperor accidentally entered this place, he was young and ignorant. I thought that the Emperor's strength had reached the heavens. Back then, the Emperor was living a carefree life. Looking at Candle, Linley felt as though he had returned to that confident, carefree face of the past. Looking at him, an awkward smile appeared on Linley's face. That's right, he was indeed carefree. No, he was so carefree that he was trapped here forever. No, Lin Rei's expression was completely concealed by Zhu's eyes. In comparison, there was nothing wrong with Zhu's expression. However, the carefree smile on his face disappeared in an instant. It was replaced by anger, unwillingness, and endless struggle. Back then, didn't I just kill that old fellow's grandson? That old fellow chased after the Emperor endlessly. Tell me, can you blame me for that? Lin Rei was speechless. Lin Rei did not know how to respond. If he said that he blamed Zhu, he was not as powerful as Zhu. If he said that he did not blame Zhu, the old fellow that Zhu was talking about had lost his grandson. Humph. Even if I give the Emperor another chance, the Emperor will still not regret what he did back then. Lin Rei did not respond. Just like that, he quietly listened to Zhu's pretentious act. Furthermore, can't you at least finish telling me what happened? You don't even have an end to it. What do you want me to say? Little fellow, don't you want to say something? Seeing that Lin Rei did not say anything, Zhu said with a cold expression, No. What did it mean to anger someone to death without paying for it? Lin Rei was exactly what it meant. Zhu had spoken with such righteous indignation. Even if he was listening to a book in a tea house, he would still shout, Humph, you didn't see it back then. That old fellow's strength had surpassed the sage realm and entered the immortal realm. Back then, the Emperor was young and ignorant. No matter what, it was impossible for him to be suppressed. Understood. The story had reached this point. Simply speaking, Zhu Tai was too reckless back then. In the end, he died. However, according to what Zhu had said, Lin Rei had obtained an extraordinary item. What level was it to surpass the sage realm and enter the immortal realm? Compared to the expert sealed in the functional realm, who was stronger and who was weaker? Hey, are you listening to what the Emperor said? Seeing that Lin Rei was in a daze, Zhu reminded him. What? Zhu Tai returned to his senses and raised his head to look at Lin Rei. A confused expression appeared on his face. Seeing that, Zhu Tai's anger surged. You humph. Forget it. Now that you know what happened, shouldn't you express your gratitude? For example, you should rescue the emperor first. Zhu Tai's eyes were filled with a yearning for freedom. Lin Rei shivered as he looked at Zhu Tai. However, at this moment, Lin Rei was in a dilemma. Could he undo a seal that surpassed the sage realm? That was an unknown factor. Furthermore, he didn't even know how the other party sealed you. How was he supposed to deal with it? However, since he had made a promise to Zhu Tai, Lin Rei would naturally not go back on his word. He raised his head to look at Zhu Tai and asked, "Back then, why did that expert only seal you and not kill you? According to what you said, you killed his grandson. He shouldn't have allowed you to be sealed here so easily, right?" Indeed, there was no way to explain this matter. Wouldn't killing him be more satisfying? Why did he have to go through so much trouble to seal him? It was the same logic as taking off one's pants and farting. Wasn't this clearly looking for trouble? However, Zhu Tai's originally angry face was now filled with pride. The corners of his lips curled up into a smile. "Humph, you killed the emperor? What kind of joke is this? The emperor is the lord of a realm after all. Forget about that old man. Even if someone more powerful than that old man were to come, they wouldn't be able to kill the emperor. However, when it comes to sealing him, the emperor can't do anything about it." Zhu Tai was still as arrogant and proud as ever. It was enough to tell what kind of state he was in before he was sealed. Lord of a realm? Which realm are you the lord of? Zhu Tai was from the primitive era. Furthermore, he had been around even before the primitive era. If that was the case, wouldn't that mean the lord of the Hongmeng realm? The lord of the Hongmeng realm. The two of them spoke at the same time. When they heard this, both of them were stunned. They stared at each other for a long time. "You know about the Hongmeng realm?" Zhu Tai raised his guard as he looked at Lin Rei. Logically speaking, the Hongmeng realm was even more powerful than the Saint's world. Even in the primitive era, not many people knew about the existence of the Hongmeng realm. However, this young man had actually managed to guess his identity just by speaking. "Are you really the lord of the Hongmeng realm?" Lin Rei found it very hard to believe. He had only guessed it earlier. He had never thought that he would actually be right. Chapter 13:17. Unknowingly, Zhu began to retreat. His vigilant gaze became even more intense. His heart was filled with feelings for Lin Rei. As for Zhu's identity, the system was in disbelief. The lord of the Hongmeng realm was something that it had never expected. Moreover, the system did not even give a hint. This was something that surprised the system. As for the identity of the lord of the Hongmeng realm, the Scarlet Flame Tiger was at a loss. He did not understand the identity of the lord of the Hongmeng realm. Looking at Zhu's vigilant expression, Lin Rei smiled. "Lord of the Hongmeng realm, I didn't expect you to be in the empty underworld. Should I say that fate is not shallow, or should I say that the heavens are toying with me?" He thought about the system's mission to help the Hongmeng realm unseal. Now, he had coincidentally met Zhu, the lord of the Hongmeng realm. "What are you smiling about?" Zhu looked at Lin Rei and asked. Lin Rei. Zhu's current behavior made Lin Rei feel helpless. What was this? Wasn't it just an identity? Besides, the Hongmeng realm had been sealed. Why was the lord of the Hongmeng realm so vigilant? Sealed? That's not right. Suddenly, he thought of something. He looked up at Zhu and asked, "Zhu, can I call you this?" Zhu nodded silently and replied, "Yes. Good?" He nodded and voiced his doubts. "Zhu, when you left, was the Hongmeng realm safe?" This was a very important question. If the primordial world was safe and sound when Zhu left, it meant that there was an even stronger enemy waiting for him there. If the primordial world was sealed when Zhu left, would those Zhu know the truth behind it? The system would always have a reason to ask the system about the Hongmeng realm. It was either that he did not have enough authority or that he was not strong enough. If he could get some clues from Zhu, then Lin Rei's eyes burned as he imagined this. He was like a hunter who had been waiting for his prey for a long time. Now, his prey had finally come to him. How could he not be excited? What do you mean by that? Zhu sensed that there was something amiss with Lin Rei's words. That was especially true when she saw Lin Ray's blazing gaze. That caused Zhu to feel extremely uncomfortable. It was as though she was being targeted. You go first. Answer my question first. This question is very important. Maybe you can get something you don't know. Lin Ray said eagerly. Hearing this, although he felt that something was wrong, in order to prevent Lin Ray from saying something he didn't know, he still honestly told him what he knew. He glanced at Lin Ray, then raised his head to look at the sky. His eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. It was as if the other side of the sky was his peaceful home. With a heart full of longing, he spoke of everything he knew. Back then, when Emperor left the Hongmeng realm, the Hongmeng realm was flourishing. At that time, the number of orthodoxies grew day by day. It was because of this that when I saw the prosperity of the Hongmeng realm, I, as the ruler of a realm, chose to head to the Hongmeng realm that Pangu had opened up to train. After all, opportunities were everywhere in this new world. I had originally thought that Pangu had opened up a higher realm like the Hongmeng realm. Unfortunately, it was only after I arrived that I found out that the Hongmeng realm was actually several levels lower than the Hongmeng realm. Oh, hearing this, Lin Ray knew the answer in his heart. He became even more cautious about the system's mission. The Hongmeng realm was as good as new when Zhu left. However, it was now sealed. What was the reason for this? Or perhaps, after the ruler of the Hongmeng realm left, the Hongmeng realm had provoked some unspeakable existence. If that was the case, wouldn't the possibility of him completing the mission be even slimmer? When he thought of this, his heart became incomparably heavy and his expression turned solemn. He had originally thought that his future would be even clearer after breaking through the Holy Scripture realm and entering the Hongmeng realm. However, it now seemed that this was not the case. What's wrong? Did something happen in the Hongmeng realm? Lin Ray's expression and actions fell into Zhu's eyes. For a moment, Zhu's heart thumped and a bad premonition surged into his heart. The Hongmeng realm was his home. If something happened to his home, he would definitely do everything in his power to leave this place. For this, he would not hesitate to make a sound. He returned to his senses and looked at Zhu's anxious expression. With a sympathetic heart, he said, "About this, don't get agitated. Hurry up and tell me." Zhu roared angrily. At this moment, he was certain that something must have happened in the Hongmeng realm. As the saying goes, touching a dragon's reverse scale would result in death. The Hongmeng realm was Zhu's reverse scale. He did not wish for anything to happen in the Hongmeng realm. All right, Lin Ray did not hide anything. He shrugged and said, "The Hongmeng realm has been sealed. Everyone, everything, and everything in it has been sealed. Of course, they have only been sealed. They have not died or been destroyed. Earlier, when I asked you if anything had happened in the Hongmeng realm before you left, I wanted to confirm my suspicions. Now, after listening to your words, I am certain that something must have happened in the Hongmeng realm after you left. Whatever happened in the Hongmeng realm must have been extremely destructive. Otherwise, the Hongmeng realm would not have been sealed." Boom! Suddenly, a violent energy appeared and a gust of wind appeared at the bottom of the cliff. Shit, what are you doing? The gust of wind arrived. Lin Ray and the Scarlet Flame Tiger did not expect it at all. Their bodies were sent flying the moment they came into contact with the gust. Bang! Crack! The two of them were pressed against the wall by the gust. The wall shattered and cracks spread in all directions like a spiderweb. Who the gust of wind blew? Lin Ray was pressed against the cliff wall by the gust. He circulated his cultivation frantically as if he wanted to find an outlet to vent his unwillingness. However, shit, it's so strong. How am I supposed to deal with it? He realized that his resistance was useless. His body was pressed against the wall, and he had no strength to resist at all. He did not even have the ability to fight back. He could not even break free from the gust of wind and find a safe place to hide. With Lin Ray in such a state, there was no need to mention the Scarlet Flame Tiger. It was completely suppressed. He turned his head with great difficulty and looked at the Scarlet Flame Tiger. He felt helpless. At that moment, he could not even put the tiger into his body. In the distance, Zhu seemed to have gone crazy as he unleashed the powerful cultivation within his body. This wild wind was stirred up by Zhu's powerful cultivation. Zhu's cultivation had already transcended the Wei integration stage and entered the eternal realm. As a Tao fruit saint, Lin Rei could easily resist her when her cultivation was mixed in the gust of wind. As for the Scarlet Flame Tiger, it was only a peak ultimate god. It had no strength to fight back at all. It could be said that Lin Rei and the Scarlet Flame Tiger could only admit that they were unlucky and suffered an unexpected calamity. Chapter 13:18. Arg, who is it? Who dares to do this to my Hongmeng realm? A voice filled with murderous intent reverberated throughout the abyss. Murderous intent swept out in all directions. The murderous intent was so immense that it condensed into a solid form. Lin Rei was shocked. When it came to killing intent, Lin Li knew that it was extremely terrifying. Because of the disturbance caused by killing intent in the past, in order to condense his killing intent and prevent it from interfering with his mind and his cultivation, he had focused on retiring. For a period of time, he had lived a carefree life, working from sunrise to sunset and resting. But now, after seeing Zhu's murderous aura, Lin Li felt as though his own murderous aura in front of Zhu was like the difference between an adult and a child. As for him, he was the child. In front of Zhu, he was completely powerless to resist. Just the power condensed from murderous intent was enough to kill him. Lin Rei was not exaggerating at all. Damn, if this continues, it would be strange if I don't suffer from internal injuries. Seeing that Zhu did not seem to be restraining himself, Lin Rei could not bear it any longer. Zhu, calm down. His voice was transmitted. However, what awaited Lin Rei was silence. It was as if Zhu did not receive Lin Rei's message at all. Damn, what is this guy trying to do? Is he trying to kill me? Lin Rei's mind was preoccupied. He communicated with the system with his divine sense and said, "System, can I enter the system with the Scarlet Tiger now?" Zhu, this old thing's cultivation is too strong. He has already gone crazy. If I don't think of a way now, when he wakes up, I'm afraid that only a cold corpse will be waiting for me. Yes, but because the other party is too strong and your strength is too weak, it will have a corresponding effect on you. So you understand. Lin Rei rolled his eyes at the system's "you understand" and shook his head helplessly. His heart was filled with speechlessness. However, when he felt the pain in his body, he could not help but nod his head. All right. How much do you need? Just do it for a few days. Hurry up. Even if my physical body is sanctified, I won't be able to withstand this old thing's torment. If this goes on, my physical body will collapse. Lin Rei cried. At this moment, Lin Rei could faintly hear the sound of his own bones being crushed. This made Lin Rei very worried. He was worried that after this, his body would need to be repaired. Sigh, it's too difficult for me. At the same time, the system notification rang out in Lin Rei's mind. Ding! 1 million exchange points have been deducted. Protective shield will be formed around the host and the Scarlet Tiger. Ding! The protective shield has been activated. Host, please check. What? Lin Rei was dumbfounded. 1 million exchange points? F***CK. Wasn't it just to enter the system? Was there a need to be so greedy? Just now, Lin Rei was still thinking that it would be at most a few tens of thousands of exchange points. Now, Lin Rei didn't think so at all. He had underestimated the potential of the system. Host, you have to understand the difficulties of the system. After all, the other party is at the immortal realm. You're just a small Tao fruit sage. You're very lucky to be able to survive under such pressure. Moreover, you have to understand your own shortcomings. If you were at the Tao integration realm now, you wouldn't even be able to use 50,000 exchange points, let alone 1 million. However, the point is, who asked you to not be at the Tao integration realm? You're right, aren't you? Lin Rei was speechless. As soon as these words came out, no matter how reasonable Lin Li was, he was rendered speechless. This mother of Asterisker had blocked all his paths of escape. However, at this moment, Lin Ray didn't dare to continue thinking about it. He felt that the pain in his body was slowly subsiding, and his heart relaxed a lot. Come to think of it, the protective shield set up by the system must have taken effect. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this. Brother Lei, this protective shield is... Just as Lin Ray felt that the pain in his body was slowly subsiding, the Scarlet Flame Tiger's voice sounded in Lin Ray's mind. Its voice was filled with gratitude and relief. Are you all right? Lin Ray felt very guilty toward each other. If he had known that the candle cult would be so crazy, he wouldn't have left the Scarlet Flame Tiger outside. More importantly, the 1 million exchange points that the system had cheated him out of. If he had known that, he wouldn't have entered the system or left this place when Zhu had gone crazy. Brother Lei, I'm fine. What should we do now that Zhu is in such a situation? Moreover, as it spoke, the Scarlet Flame Tiger hesitated, as if it wanted to say something. What's wrong? Lin Ray asked with a slight frown. It turned its head and looked at Lin Ray. When it saw that the protective shield on Lin Ray's body was faintly discernible, its heart was filled with worry. Brother Lei, I think that we should quickly think of a way to leave this place. I feel that this protective shield on my body will soon dissipate. What? Lin Ray frowned. He opened his eyes and looked at the protective shield around him. When he saw the faintly discernible appearance of the system, Lin Ray was dumbfounded. Holy shit. System, don't tell me that this protective shield is about to disappear? The moment those words came out, Lin Ray's heart thumped. How he wished that his thoughts were wrong. Unfortunately, sometimes reality would play tricks on people like this. Indeed, the protective shield can only last for 5 minutes. From the moment the protective shield appeared until now, 3 minutes and 56 seconds have passed. Oh, that's not right. 59 seconds. If one were to ask Lin Ray to estimate the size of the shadow in his heart, there would be no need to calculate. It would be 100% certain. Inexplicably, when he heard the system's reminder, 10,000 alpacas galloped through his mind. Next time, when something like this happens, can you make it clear in advance? Gnashing his teeth, Lin Ray finished this sentence. Thinking that there was less than a minute left for a moment, he was anxious. He turned his head and saw that the protective shield around the flaming tiger was faintly discernible, as if it would disappear at any time. With a thought, he covered the flaming tiger in an instant. Little tiger, don't resist later. Hearing this, the flaming tiger's body moved aside and quickly nodded. He understood that the moment of life and death had arrived. He did not dare to be the slightest bit negligent. Keep. Suddenly, with a thought, the flaming tiger's huge body was directly stored into the system. As for him, the moment the flaming tiger disappeared, he disappeared into the abyss. Bang! However, the moment Lin Ray and the flaming tiger disappeared, the mountain rocks where they were originally standing suddenly exploded. The mountain was shaking and looked like it was about to collapse at any time. In the system, he was safe and sound. When he looked at the outside world and saw the mountain collapsing and the clouds surging, he was shocked and speechless. This power has exceeded the range that Tendo can withstand. Chapter 1319. In the outside world, Zhu was still madly releasing all of his cultivation. It was rare for the void underworld realm to not collapse due to such a powerful cultivation. It would appear that Zhu was right. This world is indeed not as simple as we imagined it to be. Thinking about how Zhu was still unable to destroy this world with his cultivation, it meant that this world's tolerance had already surpassed the limits of the sacred realm and even the Hongmeng realm. Thinking about the experts in this world, thinking about how he would be able to find an opponent in this world, Zhu's silent heart began to surge with excitement once again. As the saying goes, the edge of expectation would usually be accompanied by the appearance of opportunity. Thus, Lin Ray greatly desired the feeling of death. Only by doing so would his cultivation be able to rapidly increase. Furthermore, only by doing so would he be able to consolidate his strength and even surpass opponents of the same level as him. His yearning for the void, underworld realm in the system space grew even stronger. At this moment, he was already impatient to enter the underworld realm and see exactly how powerful the cultivators of the underworld realm were. Brother Lei, how much longer will Zhu continue like this? Looking outside, the Scarlet Flame Tiger asked. This, Lin Ray hesitated. With Zhu's current state, he truly did not know how long it would take for him to stop. Unfortunately, it was certain that releasing his cultivation for a long period of time would be a burden to him. If he knew that a sealed cultivator would exhaust his cultivation for a long period of time, the formation that sealed him would become even more powerful. In fact, if he were to release his cultivation, it would be absorbed by the formation and turned into nourishment for the formation. With that, the formation would be able to strengthen the formation and seal the people, things that the formation wanted to seal. Thus, Chu Feng believed that as long as he was a rational person, it would not take long for him to comprehend Zhu's madness and calm down. Chu Feng believed that Zhu was a rational person. Otherwise, he would not have been sealed for so many years. Chu Feng knew the characteristics of this formation very well. Thus, just like that, Lin Ray stopped thinking about random things. He sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. Rather than having the time to think about random things, it would be better to use this time to cultivate and strengthen himself. Lin Ray started cultivating, while the Scarlet Flaming Tiger lay on the ground bored. Perhaps it was because it was too bored, or perhaps it was because Lin Ray didn't want to talk to it. But in the end, it also started cultivating, and neither side paid attention to the other. Time quietly passed. After an unknown amount of time, the raging winds below the cliff slowly calmed down. In the end, the raging winds completely disappeared, and the area below the cliff once again became the same fog-filled area as before. Feeling that he had consumed too much of his cultivation, his face was filled with helplessness and melancholy. Knowing that his plane had been sealed, although he was happy now, the pain from his body had multiplied. The pressure from the formation below the cliff was slowly eating away at the candle, trying to push it to the bottom of the valley again. Alas, looks like I still underestimated that old fellow's strength. I didn't expect that this formation would still be so powerful after so many years. Just the consumption of his cultivation was enough to make him reactivated. Feeling that his body was getting heavier and heavier, Zhu was extremely unwilling. When exactly will I be able to leave this damned place? My plane is still waiting for Emperor to return and unseal it. Thinking about his companions and citizens who were sealed in the Hongmeng realm, Zhu's heart was filled with grief. He thought back to the time when he was in high spirits. At this moment, if he was given another chance to choose, he wouldn't make the same decision as he did back then. He knew that after he left, the Hongmeng realm would go through such torment. Back then, he wouldn't have left no matter what. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Otherwise, Zhu would have bought a dozen of it. Exhaling a turbid breath, Zhu tried his best to calm his agitated heart. He scanned his surroundings, but he didn't see the people he wanted to see. Releasing his divine sense, he couldn't find any traces of the two people within a radius of 1,000,000 miles. Zhu didn't frown, and his killing intent slowly emerged. Could it be that when Emperor went berserk, they ran away? Zhu began to doubt whether what Lin Ray said before was true. Now that he had given away 2 drops of blood essence, if he couldn't find them, then wouldn't it be a great loss? Moreover, he couldn't leave this place now. Because of his mistake, the formation had been reactivated. His body would be suppressed again soon. Even if he wanted to find them, he wouldn't be able to leave. Just thinking about it made him feel very sullen. Previously, he had a good impression of Lin Ray. But now 2 words. Due to the system's notification, Lin Ray withdrew his martial arts and looked up at the screen in the sky. He saw Zhu's huge figure appear. Damn, what is this guy thinking? Lin Ray heard Zhu's muttering words clearly. It would be fine if he could subdue Zhu. If he couldn't, then they would never have any contact in the future. Of course, the most important thing for him now was to help his clan escape punishment and rescue them. As he thought about it, he looked at the Scarlet Flame Tiger that was quietly cultivating. The corners of his mouth rose to reveal a smile. He nodded his head in satisfaction. It seems that you have really grown up. Now, you even know how to cultivate diligently. In the past, although the Scarlet Flame Tiger also cultivated, he was forced to do so. Furthermore, in his special space, even if he stopped cultivating, his cultivation would still gradually increase with the passage of time. He stood up and patted his messy clothes. Then, he communicated with the system using his divine sense and instantly disappeared from the system space. In the outside world, at the bottom of the cliff where Linley had disappeared, the cliff was now completely gone. One could imagine what had happened after he left. Gulp. His throat wriggled as he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. His face was filled with shock. Earlier, he had seen Zhu go crazy. However, after that, he entered a state of cultivation. He didn't know what happened after that. Swish. Suddenly, a gust of wind came from behind Lin Ray. A middle-aged man was standing behind him. His eyes seemed to be sizing up Lin Ray. It was as if he was searching for the secrets on Lin Ray's body. When he turned around and saw the middle-aged man, Lin Ray was stunned. He sensed the other party's cultivation. Suddenly, Lin Ray understood. Zhu, I didn't expect that you would be so handsome after transforming into your human form. Indeed, at this moment, Zhu looked exactly like what all women yearn for. His face was like jade, his eyebrows were like swords, and his eyes were like stars. His eyes seemed to contain the entire galaxy. They were sparkling, and no one dared to look at him directly. In Lin Ray's eyes, this appearance was simply perfect. However, he didn't understand why Zhu would meet him in such a state. Little fellow, Emperor thought that you had escaped when Emperor went crazy. Previously, Emperor had made wild guesses. I apologize. After saying that, he bowed and cupped his hands to apologize to Lin Ray. Chapter 13:20. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about your plan first. You look crazy just now. It seemed like you wanted to kill your way back to the holy world. That's right. The Emperor wants to kill his way back. He wants to see what kind of person would dare to treat the Hongmeng realm this way. The Emperor wants to know who has the strength to resist the entire Hongmeng realm and even force the Hongmeng realm to be sealed. The Emperor wants to see what kind of person this is. Zhu's face turned solemn. To be honest, the Emperor doesn't have the ability to seal the Hongmeng realm with his current cultivation. So what? Linley cried out in surprise. His face turned solemn, and the pressure he felt towards the mission given by the system increased several times over. What realm was Zhu at? What realm was he at? What realm was the person who sealed the Hongmeng realm? Would he be able to unseal the Hongmeng realm when he reached the Hongmeng realm? Right now, Linley wasn't so sure. Of course, this didn't change Linley's desire to unseal the primordial world. After all, if he didn't complete the mission given by the system, the final outcome was obvious. As for the system, it would threaten him with his life. This was a price he couldn't afford to pay. His life wasn't just his. It was his family's, his friends, his lovers, his enemies. He wanted to become stronger. He wanted to be strong enough to intimidate his enemies. He wanted to be strong enough to make them tremble in fear. He wanted to be strong enough to make the entire universe tremble under his feet. Is there a problem? Zhu was puzzled by Lin Ray's surprise. No, nothing. He raised his head and looked at Zhu. His eyes were filled with seriousness. Zhu, I want to ask you, with your current cultivation, how confident are you even if you go back? Don't say anything. Let me finish. Before he could finish, Lin Ray's voice continued. My suggestion is to improve your cultivation. When your cultivation is stronger and you enter a new level, you can return to the Hongmeng realm. At that time, you can unseal the Hongmeng realm. Furthermore, the cultivations of the people that the primordial realm remembers should have reached an extremely terrifying level. They won't die. As for you, if you return in your current state, you'll only be able to free yourself from the primordial realm. In the end, you'll end up losing your life. Therefore, Lin Ray's words were like the sound of a hammer that hammered heavily into Zhu's heart. At this moment, Zhu was silent as he sank deep into his thoughts. He had heard Lin Rei's words earlier and was considering them seriously. Zhu's silence did not surprise Linley. That was because he believed that everyone understood what he was thinking very well. What's more, Zhu had lived for so many years only because this matter concerned his reverse scale. Thus, the onlooker had a clear view of the situation. Wong. What's that? While Zhu was silent, a trembling sound was heard. Although the trembling sound was very soft, it did not escape Lin Rei's sharp hearing. He lowered his head and looked in the direction of the trembling sound. He saw a faint flash of light below. System, can you detect what's down there? Lin Rei did not want to go down to investigate because of his curiosity. This place was far too mysterious to him. No one knew what was down there. Now that Zhu Du had appeared, he was no longer shocked by what was down there. Ding, can I? Hearing the system prompt, Lin Rei was startled and a smile flashed across his face. Ding, host's authority is insufficient. You do not have the authority to investigate what's down there. Lin Rei, what is this? Is it taking a breather? Thinking back to the system's breather just now, he thought that it would work. Who would have thought that he would be happy for nothing in the end? Forget it. There's no point in looking for you. I don't have the authority. I really don't know when I'll be able to obtain the authority. He rolled his eyes and ignored the system. Zhu, I say, coming back to his senses, Lin Rei turned his head to look in Zhu's direction. However, the moment he turned his head, he froze on the spot. The place where Zhu had been was now empty. The atmosphere instantly turned cold. F***CK. What the hell is going on? He released his divine sense and scanned his surroundings. However, to Lin Rei's disappointment, there was no sign of Zhu. All right, not being able to find Zhu, Lin Rei gave up and looked down, curiosity bubbling in his heart. To be honest, although he did not know what dangers were down there, as the saying goes, curiosity killed the cat. Lin Rei was undoubtedly the cat that was filled with curiosity. Let's go down and take a look. Who knows, there might be an incredible opportunity. He stopped hesitating and jumped down. Without Zhu's obstruction, Lin Rei quickly reached the bottom of the cliff. Plop! His feet finally touched the ground, and he felt much more at ease. You're finally down. As Lin Rei's feet touched the ground, Zhu's voice sounded in Lin Rei's ears. F***CK. He turned around and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw Zhu sitting on a rock in the distance and looking at him with a face filled with curiosity. Seeing Zhu's current appearance, Lin Rei suddenly recalled the trembling sound that had sounded from the bottom of the cliff earlier. Now that he saw Zhu at the bottom of the cliff, he vaguely understood what was going on. With a smile on his face, Chu Feng moved and slowly walked toward Zhu. As he walked, he told Zhu his hypothesis. The trembling earlier was the activation of the spirit formation at the bottom of the cliff. That spirit formation is the spirit formation that is suppressing you. As for you, after you frantically unleashed your power earlier, your cultivation was absorbed by the spirit formation, which indirectly activated the spirit formation. That is why you're here right now. What I said correct? Hearing Lin Rei's analysis, Zhu's eyes lit up. Evidently, he agreed with Lin Rei's analysis. Not bad, not bad. Lin Rei, I must admit that you're very good. Why don't you? Lin Rei's curious gaze landed on Zhu. This emperor's cultivation is not bad. Why don't you take this emperor as your master? This emperor possesses the strongest martial technique in the entire Hongmeng realm. As long as you have the support of this martial technique of mine, your cultivation will definitely don't. Seeing that Zhu was speaking enthusiastically, Lin Rei immediately waved his hand to refuse. Earlier, he had wanted to subdue Zhu. If he were to take Zhu as his master, then all his efforts to subdue him as his subordinate would have been in vain. What's wrong? Do you think that with this emperor's cultivation and experience, he is not qualified to be your master? In the next instant, Zhu's expression turned gloomy. It was as if he was about to explode at any moment. About that, Lin Rei wanted to say yes. But, faced with Zhu's strength, Lin Ray could only go against his conscience and say, "No, how could that be?" After saying that, Lin Ray finally arrived before Zhu. Not caring about Zhu's current mood, he sat down. "You've thought it through?" Chapter 13:21. "What?" Zhu said coldly. "Just a moment ago, you were half dead and wanted to take revenge. What's wrong? Now, you don't want to admit it," he explained with a smile. Zhu was speechless. His previous behavior was so laughable now that he thought about it. Not only did his anger not solve the problem, it also exhausted his cultivation. Now, he could only be suppressed here, especially when he saw the gloating look on Linley's face. Zhu could not help but grit his teeth in anger. Huh. Zhu was angry, but Lin Ray was very happy. Looking at the sulking Zhu, Lin Ray did not interrupt him. Suddenly, his expression turned serious, and his mental power gushed out and permeated the entire bottom of the cliff. Although Chu Feng knew that he might not be able to breach the spirit formation before him, he still wanted to see exactly what sort of spirit formation was capable of sealing an eternal Zhu realm expert. What made Lin Ray even more curious was that Zhu, with his powerful cultivation, could only reactivate the formation. How powerful would the formation be if it was truly activated? Thinking about it, as a second-grade Sacred Grade Array Master, his heart was itching. He could not wait to immediately decipher the formation and rescue Zhu. Lin Ray remained silent, and Zhu did not disturb him. Zhu, who was in the immortal realm, had sensed Lin Ray's mental power the moment it appeared. He was shocked that Lin Ray could unleash such a vast mental power. According to his speculation, such a level of mental power had already entered the sacred realm. He was even more shocked by Lin Ray's age. In his spirit sea, Lin Ray's bones, meridians, and so on all appeared. It was like a 3D image that appeared in Zhu's mind. From his bones, he knew that Lin Ray's bone age was less than 5,000 years old. What kind of concept was that? A cultivator who had entered the initial stage of the Sage Realm was less than 5,000 years old. This had never happened even in the Untainted Age. However, it had happened in the later world where spiritual chi was scarce. He was so young, and he was a Sage Realm Matrix Master. What was more, Lin Ray's body was also at the Sage Realm. This was too much. If there were only one or two of them, it would still be fine. But there was no end to it. If they had known earlier, no matter which one of Lin Ray's, everyone would have to work hard to obtain it. As for Lin Ray's, there were less than 4,000. TSK, what a monster. He smacked his lips and shook his head. His face was filled with envy. At that moment, Zhu thought back to the time when he was at this age. Back then, he had been a country bumpkin who knew nothing. At that time, his cultivation base was not even as high as Lin Ray's. Homewing's sovereign physique is indeed powerful. It is a complete set with a void bloodline. Motherf Astra's Cur, if it was me, I wouldn't be able to cultivate to this level even if I were 4 or 5,000 years old. At this moment, Lin Ray had no idea that Zhu had seen through all of his secrets. Of course, with the exception of the system, as long as it was Lin Ray's sovereign physique, Zhu would be able to see through it very clearly. Even Homewing's sovereign physique was overlooked. Right now, Linley was concentrating all of his attention on inspecting the formation beneath the ground. In the underground world, Lin Ray's mental manifestation raised his head and looked with wide eyes. A very large and dense matrix had completely entered Lin Ray's line of sight. The size of the formation was beyond Linley's imagination. What's more, the combination of the formations was so perfect that Linley couldn't even begin to imagine that he would be left in the dust by such an enormous combination formation. He believed that even if his matrix was upgraded to the 9th grade of the Saint grade, he might not be able to break the matrix before him. It was not because of any other reason. The matrix in front of him was too large, too dense, and too high level. It was so high level that it made him feel despair. However, along with despair came opportunity. If he used this matrix as a foundation, he believed that he would be able to break through very quickly in the future. Based on his initial estimates, If he could meditate here for 1,000 years, his matrix would be greatly improved. Even if he couldn't break through to the 9th grade, he would still be able to break through to the 8th grade. After all, the profound meaning of this matrix was too obvious. This was equivalent to Zhu. This was originally a treasure mountain, but he had treated it as trash and thrown it here. If Zhu could carefully comprehend it, she might have been able to leave by herself long ago. Although they had only known each other for a short period of time, Zhu's personality could be seen from various signs. She was easily angered, too superficial, and could not control her emotions. She could easily ignite herself because of a single sentence. Thinking of Zhu's advantages, Lin Ray smiled bitterly. He communicated with the system with his divine sense and asked, "System, can this matrix be broken?" Ding! It is not possible. As the system's level is too low, it is not enough to break the matrix sealed by the sealer. Sealer? Although the system did not consider rejecting him outright, it seemed to have provided quite a lot of information. Ding! The host's authority is insufficient. You do not have the right to know. Lin Ray was speechless. Insufficient authority again. Ever since he had gotten the system, he had heard the words insufficient authority the most. Fine. I won't tell you. Lin Ray was too lazy to say anything to the system. He waved his hand and said, "Since I can't break it, can I suppress it so that Zhu can move for a short period of time? Don't refuse. I believe you'll have it. I know the old rules. Just deduct as many exchange points as you want. Anyway, once you have enough lice, you won't itch." When he said that, the system was completely helpless. If it had known that this would be the result, it would not have allowed him to borrow money. Now, as the host, Lin Ray had not let down the system's good intentions. He had borrowed money all the way, but there was no other way. The system did not prohibit the host from borrowing money. So ding, the system store has an item that can temporarily suppress a matrix. However, the item may be expensive. Do you want to buy it? Yes. He knew that the system recommended it to be expensive. Moreover, to suppress such a powerful matrix, he could not think of a reason why it was not expensive. Ding. Okay, host, please wait a moment. In the system space, the store interface appeared. The items on the interface flashed quickly and no one bought them. The system was activated. The items flashed quickly. If Zhu saw this scene, he would be very shocked. He would even have the impulse to rush up and take them for himself. Any one of the products that flashed across the screen would be the one that he would be obsessed with. In the end, the screen kept changing. The originally dazzling items disappeared and were replaced by a weapon similar to a trident. The screen was fixed on the store interface. Ding. Time pestle. 150 million exchange points. The host confirms the purchase. Ding. Time pestle purchase successful. The host has successfully purchased a low-grade Taoist instrument. As the host is in debt, the system has automatically added 150 million to the previous debt. Please check and accept. Chapter 1322. One thump, 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 thump. Lin Ray could clearly hear his own heartbeat beating violently. The corners of his mouth twitched and his eyes twitched. His face was filled with the pain of bankruptcy. 150 million, 150 million. System, are you sure you're not messing with me? You, 150 million? Are you crazy or am I crazy? Lin Ray came back to his senses. When he heard the price, Lin Ray felt unwell. He froze on the spot as though he had been struck by lightning. His mind was still in a state of confusion. Previously, he had thought that it would only be a few tens of millions. After all, the most expensive item he had ever bought was only 50 to 60 million. However, now that the price of the time pestle was revealed, Lin Ray only wanted to slap himself. Why was his mouth so annoying? Why did he have to say that he was going to buy it? Did he think that he was a tycoon or a local tycoon? Was he crazy? 150 million, plus the previous 300 million. In total, it would be 500 million. Thinking about how he would have to pay off the 500 million in the next year and a few months, Lin Ray had the urge to stab himself several times. It would be best if he could stab himself to death. In this way, after he died, his debts would be cleared, and he wouldn't be in pain because of the 500 million. Unfortunately, reality was reality. Now that the 500 million had appeared, Lin Ray's pressure multiplied. He knew that he would have to live for the sake of earning redemption points in the future. "Hey, host, take it easy." The system's voice rang in Lin Ray's ears. As the saying goes, pressure is motivation. With pressure, there will be motivation. With the pressure of 500 million, you will understand that you still have to work hard. Lin Ray was speechless. He only had one thought about the system, and that was to scram as far away as possible. It would be best if he never heard this voice again. 500 million? What did you think 500 million was? The first thing that came out of his mouth was to cheer him on. "I'll throw it. Give me a try. Let's see if he can get rid of the urge to beat someone up." His mood was extremely bad. Looking at the trident in his storage ring, he felt as if he could see the blood in his heart. "Bastard, I owe a huge debt for you. If I don't help you this time, I won't be surnamed Lin." When he thought about Zhu, he realized that all of this was because of Zhu. Therefore, he attributed all of his debts to Zhu, including the other 300 million. At this moment, Zhu still did not know that he had inexplicably provoked a miser like Lin Ray. It was precisely because he did not know that he had become a powerful cultivator who was about to work for Lin Ray. When he came back to his senses and thought about his 150 million, the way he looked at Zhu changed. It was as if Zhu was his 150 million. That burning passion. Are you all right?" Lin Ray's burning gaze fell on Zhu's eyes. Suddenly, he frowned and a cold look appeared on his face. "Damn, don't tell me this guy has that kind of fetish." Zhu imagined Lin Ray's gaze just now. It was no different from a ferocious beast in heat. As he thought about it, he involuntarily took a few steps back and distanced himself from Lin Ray. "You bastard." Zhu's actions fell into Lin Ray's eyes. Looking at Zhu's reaction, Lin Ray cursed inwardly. He then raised his head and smiled. "Zhu, I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first?" Suddenly, the tone of his voice changed. The initial scorching heat disappeared and was replaced by a strange smile. This smile caused Zhu to feel even more terrified than before. However, when he thought of the two choices, his heart was inexplicably throbbing. He felt that if he did not choose this time, he might miss out on the greatest opportunity of his life. He raised his head and looked at Lin Ray. He nodded and replied, "Let's talk about the bad news first. It's better to have the bad news as a foundation." Linley nodded, his smile growing even wider. "The bad news is that you have to wait quietly and follow me, because only I have a way to leave this place, and only I can rescue you from this formation." "Follow you?" Zhu could not help but frown. For a powerful existence like Zhu, these words were the most taboo words. However, Zhu's temperament was strong and did not change. Instead, he quietly waited for Lin Ray to continue. "However, the good news is that I've found a way to temporarily suppress this. Although it's only for a short period of time, it's better than being impatient. Furthermore, with some things suppressed, you won't be restricted from entering the underworld." "Are you sure?" Zhu became serious. "I'm sure." Zhu fell in a deep thought when he saw Lin Ray nod in confirmation. He could not understand why this little fellow was so confident. This little fellow was actually able to find a way to restore his freedom in a short period of time when he was unable to solve the problem. Although he did not believe it, if it was truly possible, then the request for the bad news could be considered. "How about it? Do you want a temporary freedom? If you don't want it, then there's nothing I can do. Earlier, when I investigated the formation, I found out that this formation has already surpassed the limits of the Sheng stage. Therefore, I want it." Without waiting for Linley to finish speaking, Zhu hurriedly spoke out her request. "All right." Lin Ray nodded. He was not surprised by Zhu's reply. After all, for someone who had been imprisoned for an unknown period of time, freedom was more important than anything else. Since this was already a foregone conclusion, Lin Ray did not hesitate. He used his divine sense to communicate with the time pestle in his storage ring and pulled it out. This is... Zhu frowned when he saw the trident that had appeared out of thin air. From the aura emitted from the trident, he could sense that it was a low gray Dao artifact that could not be seen. This fellow actually has such a good item on him. Why didn't he take it out earlier? The aura of the trident made Zhu's heart burn. A low gray Dao artifact was one of the top treasures even in his possession. Now, it was an item that was extremely difficult to find in the sacred world. Lin Ray did not know what Zhu was thinking. At this moment, Lin Ray was confident that he could suppress the formation and release his hired thug. That's right, a hired thug. He was being treated as a hired thug by Lin Ray. Furthermore, he was an extremely powerful and intimidating hired thug. The appearance of the low gray Dao artifact caused the formation that was suppressing Zhu to suddenly shake. It appeared to be unstable. Is it really useful? Zhu became excited when he sensed the resistance from the formation. For so many years, he had been hoping for the formation to loosen up so that he could make a breakthrough with his cultivation base. Nonsense! That's 150 million. How could it not be useful? Lin Ray could not help but think to himself. Although this was already a foregone conclusion, he could still feel the pain in his heart. The strength in his heart had not recovered with the passage of time. Chapter 1323. Buzz Buzz. The frequency of the formation's vibrations gradually increased. In the end, it began to devour Zhu as if it had gone completely mad. It looked extremely crazy. In the process of receiving the backlash from the spirit formation, Zhu's middle-aged appearance gradually disappeared. What replaced it was that he slowly became older. His hair turned from black to white. In the end, he became like an old man with one foot in the grave. However, despite this, Linley did not underestimate Zhu at all. Even though he appeared to be old on the surface like a wooden old man, in reality, Zhu's body contained an enormous amount of energy. Linley knew that he was no match for this energy. Holy shit, little guy, can you do it? Zhu was dumbfounded when he sensed the changes in his body. He raised his head and looked at Lin Ray with a questioning gaze. He found it hard to believe that this formation had such a side to it. Previously, he only knew that this formation could devour cultivation. Now, did he really see the formation's full potential? Don't worry, it's fine. A smile flashed across his face as he gave Zhu a reassuring smile. Then, he began to activate the time pestle. He believed that the time pestle would definitely be able to suppress this formation. However, he was very curious about the existence of the sealer. What kind of strength did the sealer need to call him that? System, how much longer will it take to suppress this formation? Its strength has already exceeded my imagination. If this continues, I'm afraid that Zhu, don't worry. The system understood Lin Ray's thoughts and replied, although this formation is very powerful, but the power of the time pestle is far beyond your imagination. Although this time pestle is a low-grade Dao artifact, it is an imitation of a dragon artifact. It is extremely powerful. So, don't worry, it will be done in a while. After saying that, the system disappeared and did not say anything else. It was as if it knew that Lin Ray would definitely ask some questions. However, that was indeed the case. After Lin Ray heard the system's words, he did indeed have a new discovery. He wanted to ask the system about it. However, since the system had said so, there was nothing more to say. Lin Ray understood that the system had its reasons for not saying anything. Lin Ray didn't want to say anything. He circulated his mind power to the maximum in order to see the time pestle's every move. He really wanted to see how the time pestle suppressed the formation. In a certain space in the netherworld, a white-haired yet spirited old man suddenly opened his eyes that were originally closed, and a wisp of a breathtaking gaze flashed into appearance. The corners of his mouth curled up, and a smile flashed before disappearing. Interesting. Who exactly is it that is able to temporarily suppress this venerable's formation? Release that guy for a while. The corners of the old man's mouth twitched involuntarily when he thought of Zhu's figure. When he thought of Zhu, he could not help but want to move his body so that he could give Zhu the good beating. In his memories, Zhu was simply too much. Sai, forget it. I've locked you up for so many years. I'll just let you out temporarily. The underworld has been quiet for too long. It's time for some liveliness. Imagining that, he waved his hand and a forbidden character floated before him. Never would I have thought that this venerable would one day use you again. Buzz, buzz. As if sensing that he was looking at it, the time pestle used its vibration to recover. Seeing that, the old man smiled lightly. Then, he extended his hand and pressed on the forbidden character twice. Suddenly, a crack appeared on the forbidden character. I hope that you will not disappoint this venerable. As the ruler of a realm, I believe that you will not go crazy. Right after he finished saying those words, his eyes closed again. The forbidden character was very obedient. As if it had gained sentience, it returned to the sleeve of the old man the instant he closed his eyes. As for Lin Rei, who was far away at the entrance of the underworld, the vibration that was originally becoming more and more obvious suddenly disappeared. The time pestle that was originally operating suddenly retracted its radiance and returned to its original appearance. It returned to Lin Rei's side. I can go out now. Zhu, who was sitting far away, was startled. Then, a smile appeared on her wrinkled little face. However, that smile became frightening because of the wrinkles on her face. Zhu smiled. On the other hand, Lin Rei was dumbfounded. At this moment, he was completely dumbfounded. The time pestle had not been truly activated to suppress it. Why was the formation suddenly suppressed, and Zhu able to regain her temporary freedom? All of this happened too suddenly. Lin Rei was unable to react at all. As for the system, it was even more puzzled. It knew very well that the true might of the time pestle had not been activated yet. Logically speaking, this should not have happened. Wahaha! Holy shit! I have finally regained my freedom. Zhu faced the sky and roared. Then, with a shake of her body, she returned to her original form. Suddenly, her enormous body appeared before Lin Rei. Then, she took a step back, and in an instant, she disappeared before Lin Rei's eyes. Lin Rei did not care about Zhu's departure. At this moment, he only wanted to know who it was. He had clearly spent 150 million, but now all of that money was wasted. For no reason at all, he now owed another 150 million. This a sucker. What people called a sucker was none other than Lin Rei. Host, you must not think too much about it. If you want to eat, isn't it better for Zhu to come out? Although the time pestle was not activated, the result is the same. Isn't that right? The system's voice became softer and softer until it finally disappeared completely. It could feel that Lin Rei was burning with anger. It did not want to become Lin Rei's punching bag at this moment. Damn it, you owe me 150 million for no reason. Don't let me find out who is behind this. If I find out, I will definitely make you understand why flowers are so popular. As he spoke, he regained his senses. Looking at the time pestle, Lin Rei's heart ached. Just stay in the storage ring obediently from now on. You are very valuable. I have to treat you like an ancestor in the future. As he spoke, he waved his hand and the time pestle disappeared. He returned to the place where he was supposed to return to. After doing all this, he calmed his agitated heart and waved his hand to release the flaming tiger. Just now, he felt that the flaming tiger had already recovered from its cultivation. Damn, Brother Lei, where is this? Other than the system, looking at the vast place in front of them, they felt uneasy. In here, the flaming tiger felt extremely cold. Moreover, the surroundings were filled with a violent energy. Zhu, why is Zhu's energy wandering in the space? It had felt Zhu's energy before. Therefore, when it felt this violent energy, it immediately thought of Zhu. Not far away, Lin Rei heard the flaming tiger's question. He smiled bitterly and replied, Zhu can come out for a short period of time. When he comes back, we can go to the underworld. Remember, when you enter the underworld, you must not cause trouble. When you enter the underworld, I will let you enter the saint realm. After all, there's a risk in this position in the underworld. If you can improve yourself, do your best to improve. Chapter 1324. After making their decision, the two of them sat down and waited for Zhu's return. After all, he had been sealed for so many years. It was understandable for him to be so crazy. Time slowly passed. After 3 days and 3 nights, Zhu finally returned. Not only did he return, but he also brought many heavenly treasures with him. Of course, in Lin Rei's opinion, they were useless. After all, there were no high-grade heavenly treasures in the empty underworld region. However, there should be some in the underworld. All right, it's all thanks to you this time. Otherwise, the Emperor would have been sealed for who knows how many years. Perhaps when the Emperor reaches the end of his lifespan, I'm afraid that. He shrugged his shoulders and did not continue speaking. The atmosphere suddenly became oppressive. For a moment, Lin Rei quickly opened his mouth to break the oppressive atmosphere. Look at you. You've been out for 3 days and 3 nights. We've been waiting here for such a long time. Back then, you were too fast. You haven't told me how to enter the underworld. These words hit the nail on the head. Previously, he had searched for it, but unfortunately, he could not find it at all. He did not even sense the fluctuation of the array, which made him very disappointed. Upon hearing this, Zhu smiled as if he had already guessed it. The underworld is very dangerous. Do you really want to go in? Yes, that's right. They nodded without hesitation. Of course. I've heard so much from you. There are many experts in there. Of course, we have to go in and experience it. Otherwise, this trip to the empty underworld region would have been in vain. Xiaohu said, looking very excited. All right. Zhu nodded with a smile. Since they want to go in, he would not stop them. He took a step forward, passing by Lin Rei and Xiaohu, and walked towards a stone wall in the distance. Looking at Zhu's figure, Lin Rei and Xiaohu hesitated for a moment before following him. They had already checked the stone wall in front of them. There was nothing special about it. Open. When they arrived in front of the stone wall, they could sense Lin Rei and Xiaohu's aura behind them. Their smile grew wider. They raised their hand and placed it on the stone wall. With a low shout, the stone wall suddenly disappeared and was replaced by an energy vortex. F***CK. When this scene appeared, Lin Rei could not help but curse out loud. He could not understand why he had failed to detect it, but Zhu had. This is a passageway to another world. If you were to probe it like you did with a formation, you would not be able to find it at all. No matter how powerful your spiritual power is, it would not be of any use. Because it is completely useless. I believe you have already experienced it. With these words, he took a step back and stepped out of the way of the energy vortex. Then he quietly looked at Lin Rei and Nietian. You aren't going in with us? Lin Rei asked doubtfully as he looked at the candle behind them. Hearing Lin Rei's words, the Scarlet Flame Tiger turned to look at Zhu with the same puzzled look. The two people's puzzled gazes caused Zhu's body to tremble. I say, if you want to go in, then go in. Why do you have to drag me in? I'm telling you, I'm not going. This is your problem, so don't even think about dragging me into it. Now, I can be considered to be temporarily free. Naturally, I will not return to that old man's place. With these words, he did not wait for Lin Rei and Nietian's reaction. He turned around and walked away. Looking at the departing Zhu, Lin Rei smiled bitterly and shook his head. Forget it. Originally, I wanted to go in and help you find a way to completely undo the formation. Now, it seems like, I was thinking too much. That's right. Of all the things we could do inside, why do we have to worry about this? Understanding Lin Rei's thoughts, the Scarlet Flame Tiger tacitly agreed. They seemed to be talking to each other, but in reality, they were all talking to Zhu. Little Tiger, let's go. We just need to walk around the underworld. As for the heavenly treasures, we can use our things to exchange for them. As for the method to undo the formation, forget it. I'm too lazy to look for it. Let's go. With these words, Zhu stepped into the energy vortex. Swish. Suddenly, an aura appeared in an instant. It was accompanied by Zhu's voice. How can that be? No matter what, the Emperor has been here for so many years. he can be considered a local. Since the two of you have come here, the emperor should do his part as a host." With these words, Zhu grabbed Lin Rei with one hand and the scarlet flame tiger's thigh with the other. Suddenly, the two of them felt light, and the three of them disappeared into the energy vortex. Wong. The moment the three of them disappeared, the energy vortex disappeared and the stone wall returned to its previous appearance. It was as if the vortex had never appeared. It was as if what had appeared before was just an illusion. The only difference was that the ferocious beast that was originally guarding this place no longer existed. The underworld was destined to become turbulent because of the arrival of Lin Rei and the other two. Ouyang Zhen, who was far away in Heavenly King Hong, looked at the scene of war below. Although he wanted to help the unrelated people, he ignored them when he thought of Lin Rei's orders. As for the karma, he no longer cared about it. As long as he entered the Saint Realm, the karma would no longer exist. Outside the capital, Li Jiping returned with the army. Looking at the ruined city, he felt helpless. When he received Aunt Meng's letter, he rushed back without stopping. He didn't expect that he would still be too late. As for the destruction of the city, it was completely caused by Fan Jun. Previously, he had killed all the civil and military officials except for the people on Li Jiping's side. Afterwards, in order to clear out the obstacles, Fan Jun fought his way to the imperial palace. He wanted to kill Hong Ji, but who would have thought that a few black-clothed people would appear? They were extremely powerful. According to Fan Jun's estimations, they were much stronger than Li Jiping. Behind those black-clothed people were a dozen or so black-clothed people. This made Fan Jun even more serious. With such strength, it would be easy for them to overthrow the Hongtian imperial dynasty. Why didn't they do it? In the end, they even captured Hong Ji. This made Fan Jun feel very uncomfortable. However, Fan Jun heaved a sigh of relief. However, he didn't relax for long. The army on Hong Ji's side received the news from somewhere and started to attack the capital. Fan Jun, who only had 30,000 soldiers, had no choice but to appear. 3 days and 3 nights. After fighting for 3 days and 3 nights, it could be said that Fan Jun was like a man holding back 10,000 men. He charged into the enemy camp and was successful in every endeavor. In the end, more than half of the 30,000 soldiers were killed. Finally, the enemy retreated temporarily. Fan Jun, perhaps due to exhaustion, directly laid down on the mountain of corpses and fell into a deep sleep. After that, Hong Ji's army didn't invade for a short time. Fan Jun heaved a sigh of relief. If they came again, although he could still resist, the remaining few thousand people wouldn't be as lucky as him. Thinking of the 23,600 people who died because of the war, Fan Jun's heart ached. The guilt towards the 23,600 soldiers made Fan Jun a little breathless. However, at least Li Jiping was finally back. He could finally put down the burden on his shoulders. Chapter 1325. Things were progressing smoothly in Heavenly King Hongtian City. Everything was under Ouyang Zhen's control. On the other side, 3 figures appeared at the teleportation entrance of Huanghui City in Lu Province of the Underworld. They attracted the attention of the guards. There weren't many people from the Underworld who had entered Empty Underworld. Those who had entered Empty Underworld before had all returned. Now that the teleportation formation had activated again, how could they not be nervous? After all, this had never happened before. Seeing the teleportation formation open, the guard commander, Lu Jiang, waved his hand at the guard beside him and said, "Go and report to the city lord that the teleportation formation has been activated. Unknown people have entered the underworld." The guard hesitated. Today, the city lord had told them not to disturb the teleportation formation unless there was something important. If they went now, they might what? You don't want to listen to me? Seeing the guard's hesitation, Lu Jiang glared at him fiercely. The guard stuttered and looked at the commander. He didn't dare to say anything. The more he spoke, the more mistakes he would make. Silence was the best way to behave now. Lu Jiang knew the temperament of his subordinates very well. Seeing the guard remain silent, Lu Jiang waved his hand and asked him to leave. Forget it. Let's wait and see. I really don't know how your wife fell in love with you when you're so cautious. As soon as he said that, the crowd burst into laughter. Everyone here knew each other. Naturally, they had seen the other party's wife before. Usually, they didn't have money to joke around. The guard couldn't be bothered with the laughter of his companions. He pushed them to the side and stopped talking. This calamity was over. This time, everyone's attention was focused on the teleportation formation. They wanted to see who had come out of the teleportation formation. Within the formation, Linley had a pretty good idea of what was going on outside. He had heard every single word of what the guards outside had said. He was very curious about the rules of the underworld. Even places like the Divinity World and the Holy World didn't have absolute certainty. But here, the guard commander was so confident. It was evident how powerful the underworld was. Do you see that? This is the Netherworld, an old-fashioned, unkind, and boring place. All those years ago, I wanted to be like you, a newborn calf that wasn't afraid of tigers. Unfortunately, I was hunted down not long after. I wonder if the Netherworld realm has stopped trying to kill me after so many years. Since it hasn't, that's interesting. Thinking about it, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. However, Lin Ray and the Scarlet Flame Tiger's faces darkened. They had just arrived here, so they didn't want to be hunted down so quickly. They didn't want to leave the underworld because of being hunted down by experts. There were new things everywhere. Although they were still in the middle of the teleportation, Lin Ray could feel that the dark space chi outside was very dense. It was at least 7 or 8 times stronger than in the dark space domain. Zhu's despicable demeanor made Lin Ray and Lin Fan feel helpless. Their bodies involuntarily retreated a few steps, and the distance between them increased a little. It was as if they were expressing that they didn't know each other. Zhu had no idea about that. At that moment, his heart had already flown beyond the 9 heavens. If it wasn't for the fact that his strength was insufficient, he would have already gone to find the sealers for revenge. It would appear that we must keep an eye on this guy later. Otherwise, who knows what sort of trouble he might cause. Lin Ray and the Scarlet Flame Tiger exchanged glances and nodded in agreement. The teleportation formation closed, and the blue pillar of light disappeared. Lin Ray and the 2 others appeared before the guards outside. Men? Humans? No, monstrous beast. Seeing Lin Ray and the 2 others, the guard commander sensed the auras emitted from their bodies. Thus, he was able to determine their identities through the auras emitted by Lin Ray and the 2 others. You all, why have you come to the underworld? The guard commander asked as he looked at Lin Ray and the 3 others. Being in the underworld, one's body would emit the unique aura of the underworld. He was only able to sense that aura from Zhu and the 3 people before him. Furthermore, that aura was extremely rare. It was so rare that it appeared as if it was dispensable. It was as if it would dissipate with a gust of wind. However, that was not the thing that shocked the guard commander the most. What shocked Lu Jiang the most was that if they were not people from the underworld, where did their cultivations come from? The outside world? How could that be? If one could cultivate in the outside world, they wouldn't be separated from the underworld realm. His thoughts were not confirmed. He only hoped that the 3 people before him would cooperate with him. Lu Jiang had sensed a dangerous aura when they were on the mountain. That was a unique ability of a soldier. It was an ability that only those who had experienced countless battles on the battlefield would possess. Lin Ray took a step forward and cupped his hands with a smile. Sir, it's like this. The 3 of us have just arrived here. We've heard about the existence of the underworld. Thus, we've searched for many years and finally arrived. Sir, we're the same. Furthermore, we'll leave after buying some heavenly treasures and elixirs. We definitely won't cause any trouble for the underworld. With that, Lin Ray took out a sane elixir from his storage ring. Then, the 2 of them stuffed it into Lu Jiang's hand. After doing all that, he reached out and patted Lu Jiang's hand gently. Then, he returned to his original spot and quietly waited for the other party's result. Lin Rei did not hide his actions from the crowd. In his opinion, there was no need for that. Furthermore, he believed that for someone of his age to be in such a position, his subordinates would not be able to cause any trouble. Although he did not want to admit it, he had the same thoughts as Lin Rei. Looking at the elixir in his hand, a smile suddenly appeared on Lu Zhang's cold face. As the saying goes, whoever gives milk is your mother. Here, Lin Rei had given him a sane elixir. Furthermore, Huan had only learned a little about elixirs. Fellow Taoist, since you've come here because of its reputation, you must take a good look around in the future. There are a lot of fun places here. I believe that fellow Taoist will definitely not regret your decision. After saying those words, Lu Jiang placed the elixir in his hand into his pocket. Then, he moved aside and opened up a path for Lin Rei and the others. Seeing this, a smile appeared on Lu Jiang's face as he looked at the path before him. He felt extremely happy. There were problems that could be solved with money could not be called problems. However, if the problem could not be solved with money, then it would be fine to just add a bit more money. As the saying goes, if you give money, then you'll feel good. If you keep giving money, then you'll feel good. Seeing that the crowd had opened up a path for him, Lin Rei did not bother with superfluous words and began to leave with Zhu and the others. On the way, he even smiled and nodded at the guards on both sides. Just like this, Lin Rei and the others safely left the crowd. They left the teleportation formation and disappeared into the vast sea of people. Go and report to the city lord that several powerful cultivators have arrived in the city. Chapter 1326. Lin Rei and the other two did not know that the moment they spoke, the smile on Lu Zhang's face instantly disappeared and was replaced by worry. The reason why he was like that before was because he was unable to sense the cultivation of Lin Rei and the other two. The only thing he could sense was the vigorous energy within their bodies. This energy made him feel suffocated. In order to ensure the safety of himself and his subordinates, he had no choice but to do so. His decision was usually very wise. Because of this, he and his brothers were able to survive in this chaotic world. On the street, Lin Rei and the other two arrived at the street inside the city. This place was no different from the sacred world and the divine world. Of course, the only difference was the spiritual energy in the air and the cultivation methods of the cultivators here. Seeing the endless stream of people coming and going, Lin Rei and the Scarlet Flame Tiger were speechless. In their memories, the world of cultivation was either filled with mutual deception or killing. This was the first time they had seen such a scene. This is the Netherworld. This place is not like the sacred world that you are familiar with. Here, everyone abides by the rules. Killing is not allowed within the city. Of course, if there is a deep hatred or a blood feud, you can also settle it in the life and death arena. Apart from that, you can also leave the city. Outside the city, you can fight however you want. This is the default mode of the entire Netherworld. Hearing Zhu's words, the two of them turned their heads and looked at Zhu with strange gazes. It seemed like what he said was true. Zhu had done everything before. Otherwise, who would think of offending the ruler of a realm for no reason? Seeing the strange gazes of the two of them, Zhu coughed dryly. He did not conceal his embarrassment. I say, can the two of you not look at me like that? Who hasn't been young and frivolous? Back then, I was not sensible. But now, as he said that, he did not forget to straighten his body. It was as if he was saying that his age did not allow him to fool around. Besides, the two of them knew Zhu's character very well. Lin Rei and the Scarlet Flame Tiger ignored him and walked away. The prosperity of this place caused their hearts to palpitate. In the reception hall of the City Lord's mansion, City Lord Lu Ding looked at the three people sitting on both sides of the hall. The smile on his face did not fade for a long time. Brother Carefree, I already know about your secluded valley. The City Lord's mansion will definitely participate in the opening of the Dragon Spring Mystery Realm this time. Yes. Hearing Lu Ding's words, the middle-aged cultivator cupped his hands. Brother Wang Yu, your valley's Dragon Spring secret realm is famous in the Lu province. If anyone is able to cultivate in the Dragon Spring mystic light water within the Dragon Spring secret realm, their cultivation will definitely advance by leaps and bounds. That's right. Can we wait? It's a once-in-100 years opportunity. Even if something big happens, it's impossible for the disciples to survive the opening of the secret realm. As soon as this was said, everyone was waiting for the person called Daylily. Similarly, Daylily's gaze swept across the crowd, and a smile flashed across her face. She felt extremely satisfied with her vanity. Of course, at the same time, he also knew that the people sitting in front of him were very powerful. So, he stood up, cupped his hands, and thanked them. "You're too kind. I'm just indebted to the ancestors." As the saying goes, the ancestors plant a tree for the descendants to enjoy the shade. It's just like this now. Looking at Daylily, the corners of everyone's eyes twitched. They did not expect this guy to have such a rich side to him. "You're too kind. Even if it's like what you said, it's a pity that you..." Originally, he was still a little humble, but now, his previous nature had appeared, and it had become even worse. All right. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's talk about something else. For example, people report. Just as the few of them were having a heated discussion, a voice that did not fit the scene sounded. The voice was very urgent, as if someone was calling for a relative. Hearing that he was interrupted, Lu Ding raised his eyebrows and looked outside the door. A soldier in military uniform was kneeling on one knee, cupping his hands and greeting him. A soldier guarding the teleportation formation. Looking at the soldier's armor, he frowned. The soldiers at the teleportation formation did not need to come if there was nothing important. Shaking his head, he threw such trivial matters to the back of his mind. Then, he waved his hand and said, "Stand up and reply." "Yes, City Lord Xie." The soldier stood up and walked to the center of the investigation. He was not far away from Lu Ding, and he knelt down on one knee again. He then told Lu Ding everything that had happened before in full detail. Lu Ding was shocked when he received the report from a guard. He knew Lu Jiang's strength. He really did not believe that Lu Jiang would say that the spiritual energy in his body had reached 10. "City Lord, it's like this. Our commander also asked me to pass a message." As he spoke, he fell into deep thought, as if he was recalling the message that Lu Jiang asked him to pass on. "Our commander said that the other party's strength is very strong. Even he's not a match for them. It's like two stones. The other party is also a 100-kilogram stone, and he is just the most inconspicuous one in the corner." This time, Lu Ding's interest was piqued. He would not allow anyone to cause trouble in his Huanghui city. Moreover, he also wanted to talk about what kind of cultivators could come to the underworld. "Brother Wang Yu, I wonder if you can accompany me to meet them?" He knew that it was impossible for the people in front of him to not want to meet such a person. Sure enough, when they heard this, they stood up and cupped their hands. "Haha, since the city lord has issued an invitation, we naturally can't disobey." As they spoke, they looked at each other and smiled. They knew that if possible, they hoped to control Lin Ray in their sect. Think about it. A person who had never been to the underworld could find and pass the test of the guardian beast. How much willpower did he have to be able to do that? However, if they knew that the guardian beast in their hearts was beside Lin Ray, who knew what kind of attitude they would have in the end? "Let's go." They left as they said, without any signs of regret. As for that person, he still followed them. As for the actions of Lu Ding and the others, Lin Ray still did not know. At this moment, he was bargaining with the owner of a shop that specialized in selling elixir materials. For him, money could be spent, but it had to be spent where it was needed. Naturally, he would not buy things that were not necessary. At this moment, Lin Ray had a ginseng in his hand that was worth hundreds of thousands. He was determined to get this ginseng. After all, although this thing could not be used to refine any high-level elixir, it could increase blood vessels. "Boss, how about 500,000 low-grade nether jade?" "No, 1 million nether jade. I can't lower the price any further. If I lower it any further, I will go all out." That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.